Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online.
No
All
idea
systems
functionally what I'm doing. It's a good thing we're not, like, popular.
For fucking the giggles.
Yo, you ain't getting any candy for it, bitch.
I have one round left. Just enough for myself.
You recording right now?
No.
Okay, cook and book.
Okay.
Let's
Welcome to
go,
the
dude.
Camelcast.
Where we cook and we book.
My
In
blood
that
is
order.
polluted. Let's go.
All right. So let's start with weeks as always. Matt's not here yet. He should be joining soon.
Maybe.
Maybe.
2 hours ago soon.
Shush. So I guess I'll start with my week. Hello, it is me, Anthony.
No, it's him. It's Anthony.
I did a couple of lost episodes because we had good audio. I have started making thumbnails, and that is very fun and enriching.
I'm really happy that you're doing that, by the way. Because I was gonna bring this up to you like at the start of this podcast, like way back when we first started recording.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna be like, you should make thumbnails. Like I feel like the videos not having thumbnails is kind of an issue. Like it's better for people to like see it and stuff. I didn't think the thumbnails you'd make would be those absolute abominations, but they are funny. And I commend you for the effort.
What would you
I
prefer?
like them.
No, I do think they're hilarious. I also think I don't know if I click on them if I was on YouTube.
It is
but they
kind
are
of like
very
a lot to take in, but I'm hoping
yeah, it's
that
a lot
that's
of info.
yeah, that's also why you click it. That's what I'm hoping.
Like I
for.
think when the thumbnail's small, like I would have never noticed like the dog on the scales and shit like that. Like it's not it's not something.
Well, here's the thing. In theory, that was going to be like front and center, but the way everything scaled, it didn't. Like I had to shrink down like
Right,
certain
yeah.
things, and then it like becomes where it's like, well, it's in there, but it's pretty much unnoticeable. Oh well.
Yeah.
We'll just hope that people have like widescreen displays and can pick up that detail from afar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Or-
probably can't.
Or now it's an Easter egg.
Anyway, go on with your fucking week. Let's
I
go.
played 2 video games.
2.
For the past 2 weeks, there was the Steam sale of Japan stuff. So I picked up Project Nimbus. And Project Nimbus is what happens when a guy watches Gundam and then plays an Ace Combat game and then goes, this is the pinnacle of entertainment, and creates an entire video game around that concept. It's fun. It's a lot more Ace Combat than I expected. But that's fine. I like Ace Combat. Terrible story, goofiness, forever. It's good.
You're saying it's like Ace Combat, so I assume I'm wrong. But Project Nimbus, that's not the side-scrolling like shmup thing, right?
No.
It's God, what is that game? I remember there's like a
Ikaruga?
game. No. There's a game. I remember the best friends played it like a long time ago. It's like very anime and like weeby in its art style, but it's like a side-scrolling game.
I know
with
what you're
mechs
talking
and
about.
shit.
Oh no. Actually,
Because I saw you playing that, and I clicked on it on Steam, and I only saw the art. Like I didn't see any in-game screenshots or anything, so I thought it was that game. But apparently,
Astabreed.
yeah, there you
That's
go.
what you're thinking of.
the-
That is also on my wish list.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like shumps, even though I'm terrible at them. Project Nimbus does
Shump?
feel like shump sometimes, where it's just there's missiles everywhere. Like there's a technology base. It has kind of a. I'm describing this just by mentioning other mech video games. So if you know that, then you do. If you don't, well, fuck. It has
Good
kind of a Steel Battalion tech tree type thing going on. As you're playing it, new things are released. So like difficulty scales just because faction technology is scaling. And it gets to the point where there's just everything is vomiting missiles forever, and it's the AI is really good at dodging my missiles, and I can't dodge missiles for shit. So it's good.
Are you getting bodied? Are you
It's a
getting
little
bodied?
it's a little hyper hokey, and the art is terrible in some places. There's this very weird Evangelion type scene where your anime girl, which up until a point in this game, there's been no 3D modeled anime girl. Suddenly, there's a 3D modeled anime girl, and she's crawling in the water, and I felt very uncomfortable. But that's
Oh, it
fine.
got all those glistening anime titties and shit.
Well, I mean, pilot suits are involved, so it's the
Oh,
the
nice,
suit is
dude.
tight, and it made me a
Fuck
little
yeah.
uncomfortable.
And by uncomfortable, you mean erect. That's what you mean.
No, that's not my. Nah, that
Okay.
ain't me, dog.
I mean, he's lying, but that's fine. We are recording, so he won't speak the truth.
Oh, come on. I'm very truth on recording about my
The
terrible
boner was
deviancy.
absolutely gigantic. It was a massive.
But yeah, it's if you've watched any of Gundam and know kind of how new types work, they're doing that. If you know anything about Ace Combat and how generally like no one's really evil, like there's shades of gray, like a strange real type thing. You know what you're getting for if you like those things. Definitely pick it up. It's cheap. And then I've also got Lost Planet 2 working on my computer. That
Nice.
is, no lie, one of my favorite games of all time. And it translates very well to PC, except for the fact that it's a pain in the ass to get running because it's so old. It doesn't really work on Windows 10, or if you have a processor that has 6 or more cores. Luckily, I have an old as shit computer, so that wasn't too bad. But the real problem was that it requires games for Windows Live.
Ooh!
And that's very dead. So what I had to do was download Windows Game Market, I think it's called. It's games for Windows Live, but it's not games for Windows Live.
Right.
Then launch the game. You have to log in. It literally takes. I thought it wasn't working. No lie, logging in the first time to your Games for Windows Live account, because there's just no server support for it. Like, there's one PC handling it all. So, like, the very first time you log in, it took, no lie, 20 minutes just to log in to my old Games for Windows Live account.
Damn.
And then everything needs to update. It updates to, like, the latest version, and then it ports it over into the Live marketplace, and then the game has to upgrade, and then Live has to upgrade, and then the game has to upgrade again. And then after all that, you get to play Lost Planet 2. God, I love that game. There's giant monsters, there's neat mechanics, it's goofy storytelling and voice acting, there's a bunch of emotes. This was back before someone copyrighted minigames and loading screens, so every time it's loading, you get to run around and just spam emotes. There's giant robots. It's truly, is Keiji Inafune understands me to a level.
Yeah, there you go.
Best known for the terrible disaster that is Mighty Number 9.
Hell yeah.
At least in recent memory. But he did good stuff before that. He did this. He did Mega Man Legends, another one of my favorite games. You know, he can do good things, and this is an example of that. And that was my week. Take it away.
Fuck yeah, who next? Me?
Next person.
I'll fucking
Post
go.
me.
Let's go. Mine's quick.
Oh wait, I forgot
And
something.
then,
I'm sorry.
oh my god, he's
Wow, look at that. No, you're fucking done.
No, fuck him. He's done. All right, what were you gonna say? You fuck.
Last week, and this is why I forgot it. I picked up Divine Cybermancy, and
Hell yeah.
Boy, that game is a trip because it's a Frencher 40K. And
Isn't it? I've seen people talk about that. Isn't it like I have it on my wish list, but I haven't gotten it yet. Isn't it Isn't it kind of a clusterfuck in terms of it like not holding your hand and very much not teaching you?
Boy, is it a clusterfuck. There's 25 tutorial videos and they don't tell you shit. Like it's barely scratching the surface. between like figuring it out. But it's also extremely open-ended because of that. Like you can just be tanky shoot man, which is kind of how I'm building it. But the powers in that game are ridiculous. Hacking is viable, and you could just make people shoot each other just on a whim. It is very cyberpunk. It's basically 40K if it leaned heavier into cyberpunk, but still had like kind of the gothic design, but not so
The
much the
grim
gothic flavor.
Oh, okay.
And the entire story is extremely philosophical, and has to do with like reincarnation and foreign religions and all this other. It's insane. It's insane. The hardest thing to get into with it, honestly, besides the fact that like you're giving all this option like right out the gate, and it's a little overwhelming. The hardest thing to get into is that it has toggle aim, and that's brutal. Because if you like hold right mouse click to aim down sights, all you're doing is zooming in and then zooming out because it's reading you as clicking it multiple times because you have to just click it once and then it's in position when
Yeah.
it's not.
Are you not? Can you not switch that?
Nope.
Interesting.
It's always
I
toggle aim.
used to play with toggle aim in
Honestly,
like every shooter.
I'm starting to feel it. I kind of like it a little bit.
I used to love it, and then Overwatch fucked me on it because Overwatch by default, I believe, is hold to aim, and I didn't change it for the longest time, and it absolutely destroyed my love of toggle aim. So now I use hold to aim in every game.
Yeah, I used to always be hold to aim, but this game doesn't give you an option. So, but anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, before I was so fucking rudely interrupted by this guy over here, as I said, didn't do anything that I wanted to do. Didn't finish RE3. I've just been working on a track all week. It's been very fucking exciting. I kind of hate my life, you know, because I'm just listening to the same thing.
Good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
I'm gonna put in a very distorted 0.4 second clip of it right here.
Very distorted 0.4 second. It's not, whatever he's putting in right now is not finished, so it's gonna be very different.
I didn't even put the whole clip in. I just put
nope,
like a
you
fraction.
Didn't. What else was I going to say? Oh, XCOM. I played XCOM, and I know a bunch of the other people in this podcast right now played XCOM as well. So do we want to talk about XCOM real quick? Does anybody want to talk about XCOM?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I'm
the
honest.
only one who didn't get it.
Yeah, you're the only one who didn't play it, but I'll be honest. I was pleasantly surprised with it. I think some of my predictions from the last time we recorded do hold up, because I think it shows its budget a little bit, and it's kind of a buggy mess in my experience. But
you had like the worst bug I've ever heard.
Oh, I had the worst bug where the game was literally eating my core items, so I couldn't switch weapons on my people, and I had to revert to an old save. It was horrendous. I get tons of other bugs too, where like my people breach, and then someone will shoot, but then the camera will pan out to like 5 miles back, and my dude who's breaching is now shooting through a wall in like 5 miles away from the room where he's breaching, and just like crazy shit like that. The game is a bit of a buggy mess, and I think it kind of shows the amount of time that was put into it and money that was put into it. And there's a lot of like weird shit that I kind of don't like I don't know. There's some like weird enemy reuse and like clear animation reuse that's going on. Like the fact that like the Ronin just move and attack like Templars and stuff like that. Like it's all very clear that they're taking shit from XCOM 2 and just slapping it into this game to like save money, and that's fine. But it was cool. I didn't mind it. It's fun. It's not as good as the past 2 XCOM games in my opinion. And there are some mechanics where I'm like, they're interesting, and then when you think about them longer than not at all, they're not great. Like at first I was like the new turn system is cool, where you're swapping back and forth from like you to the enemy. It's all very interesting. And then when I played on my first playthrough, I played on expert.
Ooh,
and then the second time I played it, and by second time I mean like I played it briefly and then turned it off and haven't turned it on since. I played on impossible. And on impossible, it starts to become really evident that the fact that when your dudes breach and you have no say in where they go after they shoot, that it's kind of dog shit.
Yeah, it's rough.
Because it's like you can't you literally have people who get into certain positions and then you look at them and you're like, okay, my first person in the initiative order has no abilities to move that squad mate. I can see from a mile away that AI enemy right there is going to flank them. They're gonna fucking blow them up, and I can't do anything about it. There's literally nothing I can do. So at first I was like, oh, it's really cool, but if the game had a system where I could take my first shots or whatever and then choose where they were gonna move after that, it would be better. There's like,
we had a mini conversation about that last week because we kind of like started to go into our weeks, but we didn't like really commit to it. And I haven't played it, but I've seen gameplay footage of it. I'm watching Beagle play it, and Beagle is like the king of XCOM. And check him out on YouTube, Beagle Rush. And the one thing that I like the breaching system because in the previous games, even in 2, when you had limited max turn count, there'd be so many turns of just set up to get this perfect alpha strike, and then you were gone. And the breach kind of cuts that all out to like you're at the engagement. But being that your options are shoot someone or be defensive, but you don't get to pick where that person goes, I feel like I feel like there should be more options.
it's very vague. That's the issue, right?
Like a stealth kind of breach potentially. That's a very good image, by the way. Like one where you go in, maybe it reduces their alert level or something like that. Like just more options rather than I have a higher dodge chance which might not work and I have a shot that might not work. I want more options on the breach.
There's a few problems with it, right? The first problem is that the benefits that you get when you breach based on where you put certain people are completely random. And sometimes they're very easily broken, right? Where it's like, oh, this one says, if I hit on my first attack during breach, I stun. Okay, I'm going to put Zephyr there every single time because she doesn't. And it's like you start realizing that there's these like little things that are kind of fucked up, or the fact that because it rolls randomly, you can get ones where like it says you gain 1 extra point of armor when you breach, but enemies do 1 extra point of damage, and it's like, what? They're literally just kind of like balancing themselves out at that point, and you can see that it's like it's a cool idea, but there's aspects that aren't like particularly well thought out, including like the fact that you can't choose where you go after the breach. So it's little things like that. Like the game is fun for what it is, and I think for like the $10 that it costs, I don't know if it still costs $10 or not, but for the $10 I got it for, it's worth it. Like it's fun.
Worst case, what, it goes up to 20, I think is the max.
Yeah. For the $10, it's fun. I enjoy it, and I think I talked some shit last week or 2 weeks ago about how I thought the campaign experience wasn't exactly what I was going to want. And that still holds up. It's not exactly what I wanted, but it's more than I was anticipating. Like there is a bit of choice and like some of that classic XCOM shit, even if it's like way
strategic layer.
There is. It's nowhere near as in depth, like remotely, but it is there and it's fun. But like the little things kind of fuck it up. Like the breach system has some problems. The animation reuse, the maps aren't anywhere near as interesting. Like the small rooms that you're fighting in don't offer as much kind of tactical, like I don't know. It doesn't offer as much interesting gameplay in terms of like flanking and doing like interesting maneuvers with your guys. Like there's small things about the game that I don't like, but for the $10 it's fun, and I do kind of recommend it. It's not for its price point, it's good. In comparison to the last 2 XCOM games, it's nowhere near as solid, and I'm excited for whatever future XCOM game we're gonna get to see like what they take from this game and keep, and what they change a little bit from this, because this honestly feels like the $10 beta test. That's what this feels like, right? It's like for $10 you get to play XCOM Chimera. We fuck around a little bit with like actual characters for squad people, and they can't die, and we deliver you story in a bit of a different way. And also, we get to have all of you test mechanics to see what we like for XCOM
And
3.
what people like.
Right. So all in
More
all,
snakes.
it's all right.
Stop.
People want to
Stop.
fuck the snake. Everyone wants to fuck the
No.
snake. I don't get it. There's so many
Stop.
people on Reddit that want to pork the snake. I don't get it, dude. It's like every other Reddit post is like, I want to put my penis in the snake. I don't get it.
Look, I had this conversation with you before. The tongue can lift a person up.
Yeah,
Think about that.
it can. It's very strong and it's very long.
Yes.
And it can reach
People
some
are going
places.
on the island.
We're gonna
Well,
have to
aliens are going
eventually
there.
have an episode or just
No,
a
we're not.
private recording.
No,
No,
we
no,
don't.
we
No, we
don't.
So that's
We
pretty much
can't-
been my week.
We can't keep talking about the island and
Nope,
then never
anyway, so
explaining what
fuck
the
it.
island
Nope.
is.
Super secret.
Nope. Fuck the island. I didn't play RE3. I worked on some shit. That's my opinion on XCOM. Good to go. That's me, dude. I'm doing hand motions. No one can see it. That's
I wish the aliens
Yes.
had
All right. Oh,
alien accents.
my week, very short because.
Oh wait, I'm
besides
sorry.
being-
Can I go back really quick? That's
Oh
all.
my
Bob,
God.
bitch, this is gonna be every time.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Not-
Endless cycle.
Hold on. Not to pull an Anthony and cut you off, but real
Oh
quick,
my
real
God.
fast. The other thing I like about XCOM Chimera, right? And I feel the other two people here right now who played it, maybe you could back me up on this. I don't know what your opinion is on this, but I kind of like there's more like world building stuff in it than I anticipated there being. So I enjoy like the little lore details about like aliens and humans coexisting and like certain species being like extra legal and like Andromedons going to like sanctuaries and shit because they're horrendous and they can't necessarily live with like the rest of the population, and like all these little like lore tidbits are super interesting to me, and I value
cool.
that. I think that shit's really neat. I think some of the stuff regarding like the setting and what they did in Chimera to like establish how aliens and humans are living together is cool. I think it's very interesting. And going forward in XCOM 3, I'm curious to see what they do. I don't want to get too deep into spoilers, but I also feel like they heavily hint at what like the next threat is going to be with certain aspects of the dialogue, like with the progeny especially, and like some of the voice lines that the thralls have and shit like that are kind of weird. Once again, I don't want to get into like spoilers too heavy, but like I feel like there's kind of hinting at terror from the deep stuff yet again. Just mild.
Yeah, I'd be totally down for that. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, fuck those aliens.
Especially the snakes. All right.
Yeah,
so,
especially
go
the
ahead.
snakes. Anyway, that's me.
All right, my week was very short. I played no XCOM, unfortunately. I have to sink more time in that.
Fuck, did I spoil stuff for you?
Yeah, a little bit.
You
But-
motherfucker! I thought you finished it.
I think Robbie.
Nope, that's not me. That's
Oh,
my brother
fuck. It's
on
been
my
like
account.
2 weeks. I've seen you playing it, so
Yep,
it's like, oh,
that's not me.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I can't stand when people
You
spoil
can't
shit for
bleep
me.
out my brain.
No, I can't stand it. I hate spoilers, and now I'm the evil. I'm sorry, dude.
It's fine because now I get to experience. I still don't know anything. I just know the group. It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Trust me. It's not that
But
important.
playing Stellaris with Sean and BB, that's been pretty fun. BB's going nuts, and now me and Sean need to take him down. But
As
Hell
he
yeah,
done
kill
so.
him.
uh,
Hold on, wait. Can I ask you a question? Does
Yeah.
BB know that you're plotting to take him down, or did you?
oh
just
yeah,
reveal
because
that on the
he's
podcast?
a devouring swarm. So our basically our pact is we defeat the endgame crisis, and then me and Sean both try to kill him.
Okay, cool.
And it's been rough because BB has like 80% of the galaxy, and I'm a megacorp, so he ate all of my branch offices. And now I
Nice.
only have branch offices with Sean, and Sean's not good at planet management, so I'm internally screaming at him, and externally screaming, by the way, at him to get his planets in order, so I could sell my goods. Besides
yeah, fuck
that,
your goods.
I've been playing a lot of a new game I just picked up, and by new game I mean old game, Kingdom Under Fire: The Crusaders. Love that game. It's fucking incredible. And by incredible, I mean I like it. It does not hold up well. But Kingdom of Fire Crusaders, I love the game. I think it's great. It's fun, but like I said, doesn't super hold up because, God, as a child, I thought this game was the shit, and I still enjoy it. But the voice acting is terrible.
This is not going to play well for the podcast audio. This is the one that I played. I recognize the box art. It's
God, I've never even seen this.
It's literally the first one. I think I still have my physical copy of it, actually.
I've never even seen this game.
It's like an RTS, but then it turns into like an isometric, like Diablo style RPG.
The only ones I know are the Crusaders, Heroes, and then Circle of Fire, and then apparently this one, which is before all of them. I did not know that.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, so the voice acting is god awful. Also, as a child playing this game, you don't really realize some of the things people say and how stupid it is. So there's a part where we were playing the Dark Elf campaign with Lucretia, and it's like Lucretia talking with like some people like in her group. And there's this dude, Rainier. And Rainier is like this, really jacked half-demon dude or whatever. And Lucretia's talking, and then she's like, oh, is that Rainier? He's ripped. Like, they use the words ripped. It's like,
Oh, that's awesome. What year? Dude,
It could be
now?
worse. They
I
could have
don't
been like, oh,
fucking
he's
remember.
swole.
Yeah,
I think ripped is kind of it'll stand the test of time better than things like swole and shredded.
Brawling.
it's very funny
Brawling.
because
Oh,
look,
I miss brawling.
it's very
Fucking
funny
Brawling.
because there's such a disconnect between the two campaigns. I mean, there's 4 campaigns, but the 2 that I've been playing is that Gerald's is very fantasy. Like, everyone speaks like a fantasy character, and it's kind of like, fantasy speak. I don't know how else to explain it. And then you go to the Dark Elf campaign, and it's literally everyone calling themselves like bitch and saying, oh my god, that guy's ripped, and oh, that ogre must have jumped a human female at some point. Gross.
Ooh,
like,
dang.
it's like so it's
sounds
so
like
different.
writing's very strong.
It's so different, and
I
it's
feel like-
funny.
Bitch is old world, isn't it?
Look at ye oldie bitch.
The
over
old
there.
bitch.
Thine.
But it's hilarious, and that's the charm of the game. Very fun. Highly recommend. I saw it come out on Steam. It came out in March, and I was actually hyped because this is a game I've been like wanting to play for a long time because it came out for like original Xbox, and because I'm a filthy. And by me, I mean my dad at the time was a filthy criminal, I guess. We got a friend of ours to like mod our Xbox, so we just like downloaded every game.
Nice.
When
yeah,
our
dude.
Xbox broke, we lost all the games.
That's
This was
why
a
it
game I
failed.
really wanted, and it was only for Xbox Original, and that shit was hard to get at the time. I wanted to play this game again, and I saw it came out on Steam in March, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And everyone wants them to port Heroes, and I'd be totally down for that.
I want to take a second
Oh.
to just say it's really weird that as a kid, being that like, man, Xbox has no exclusives, and compared to what we're getting now, the insane number of pretty quality exclusives in OG Xbone, like I don't know how the hell we tricked our brains. And I hope that we don't fondly look back on this generation's complete lack of games and go, man, there used to be so many exclusives.
Yeah. But game is tight.
'Cause there's
I like it a
not.
lot. It's definitely
Nothing's
worth
great.
playing. And on how bad the voice acting is a charm.
I'm
the
pretty
gameplay is
sure.
fine. The gameplay is good.
I'm pretty sure, like, from what you're describing and what I've seen of it, because I saw you playing it and I looked at it on Steam, and I was like, oh, I've played a Kingdom Under Fire, like this one that I just linked. I don't think they're remotely similar. I think the one I played, like this one's the first one, and like I said, it becomes Diablo randomly. But the one I looked at that you're playing looks like it becomes Dynasty Warriors or something like that.
Yeah, probably
randomly. Like that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, it goes. It freaking. It's RTS that turns into hack and slash when you're in combat.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like it becomes like a Dynasty Warriors style game, and I added it to my wish list only because I remember enjoying this like ancient one when I was a fucking poo baby. But I don't know if I'd like.
I'll be honest.
Neat.
I did not pick it up at the time of coming out because I do not think it's really worth $20. But it did go on sale recently, which is why I picked it up, and it was definitely worth $13.
I'll take your glowing recommendation.
It is. It's fun, and I enjoy it. Like I said, the combat and the unit trees and how like that stuff's all cool, and I think it kind of holds up. I'm sure there's issues that I'm failing to see because of nostalgia, but I enjoy the game a lot.
I should note that even though it was a pain to get working, Lost Planet 2 is $4, and I got it 50% off.
Wow, look at cutting into someone's week again and talk about Lost Planet 2. Do you see
this son of a bitch and Lost Planet?
Buy the video game.
Wow, dude.
Play with
You know what?
Damn.
Week over. Goodbye.
Wow.
God, I guess that
Let's
leaves
go,
me.
Rob. Let's go.
My week was basically me restarting Subnautica over again because of a brand new update that just came out. Basically, the whole story got redone over. Like they completely redone the story.
Huh.
I didn't even know there was a story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very
News to me.
very big into the story. Subnautica is. They redid a few different of the areas. They're redoing all the audio, everything. And unfortunately for me, that means my save file, where I had somewhat gotten myself situated, no longer was viable.
They wiped your save.
Yep.
Fucking rip in peace.
Brutal.
Yeah. So I'm back in the ocean, afraid, with nothing to keep me safe. So everyone pray for me as I venture in the ocean alone and afraid again.
We'll hold our hands up and give you our energy.
And I've been playing the new Riot card game, Tales from Runeterra, I believe is the official
Fuck
title
yeah,
of it.
bro.
And I have to say, playing it for a few days, it's actually very beautifully done. I have to give it credit where credit is due. It is very beautifully done. It seems like a lot of work went into this, and I look forward to continuing playing it.
A lot of work ripping off Valve, am I right? Let's go, dude. I'm talking shit. I haven't seen it. I'm making jokes.
You're good.
I've seen it. I haven't played it, but I've seen it.
And there's no problem with ripoffs. Sometimes ripoffs turn into great things.
What I said before you were even recording is that it seems like Riot is becoming the new high-res to an extent, where they're sort of just taking other people's ideas and like iterating on them to some extent. What with Valorant being the new Counter-Strike and this kind of taking cues from Artifact and shit like that.
Shazbot.
Could be wrong because I haven't played it. I've only seen video of it in trailers that YouTube feeds me.
Mm.
I'm gonna continue the cycle and interrupt Rob's week.
Wow, what a
Oh,
motherfucker!
God,
What's
man.
wrong with all of you?
Real quick.
You did it too.
And this is not with something from my week though, which I guess technically is because me and Brandon played a game of Dota right before we recorded this.
Hell yeah, we did.
What is this shit? Jugs Omni/ can't be disjointed now?
What the fuck? Why are you bringing this up?
Was that even English?
Why are you bringing up? Why are you bringing up Dota patch
Because-
notes shit
Because
in Rob's
I
week?
was reading them, and I
What
just
the
noticed.
fuck? That's the most random shit. Leave this
I
in. This
feel
is
like I'm
hilarious.
interrupting you just for random bullshit.
This is funny as fuck.
That's
He
part of my
absolutely
week
did.
because we played before we recorded. So
This is how much he cared about your
Oh, my
Legends of
phone!
Runeterra. He was like, I
Good,
want to talk
fuck your
about Dota
phone.
patch notes. Listen, we'll discuss whether or not Jug Volk can be disjointed later,
No,
alright?
we won't.
much like when talking about anything Riot, we must interrupt with the superior game. Dota.
This is the real motive comes to light.
Yeah.
I'm losing my shit at how funny
Robbie, you got anything else, bro?
Oh, fuck.
Other than just saying it's actually looks like it went a lot of work into it, and I'm looking forward to playing it. No, not much else. I suggest you guys try it. It's a free fucking game, so give it a shot if you enjoy card games.
I don't know if I will. I'm not super into the online card game space, but I am keeping my eye on this artifact
I played
update.
was Elements, and that was just like fake magic.
I feel like Riot chose, and maybe this is me. Maybe this is a little tinfoil hatty, but I feel like Riot chose a really, really interesting time to put that card game out, because we're literally in the middle of a period of time where Valve is actively reworking Artifact, and we've all heard about it. There's been multiple articles written about it, and long before that game has come out in its like second phase, right? It's like, let's put out this card game and show our whole hand and like every mechanic that we've come up
Hey.
with. It's a little weird in my opinion, but
Fair.
you know,
But
whatever.
I definitely think it does. Competition's never bad.
No, it's not. It makes people work harder to
Exactly.
make a good game. It's very good for stuff to threaten other people's shit. It's kind of like how Riot came out with Valorant, and Counter-Strike got like some of the biggest updates. Well, I don't know about biggest, but it got updated shortly after Valorant came out of, or closed beta started, because Valve was like, oh, we have competition now. No one's ever fucked with CS in years, but it's happening.
Mhm.
It makes people work, you know, to make their shit better. Is that your week, friend?
Yeah, it's basically my week, mates.
All right, let's cry about Evo.
Yeah, we're gonna go right into Evo
Why not?
immediately. All
Do you want
right,
to go
fuck
into
it.
Evo or the N-word?
The N-word's hilarious. Let's start with the N-word. It's really funny, and by that I don't mean the word itself. Please
No,
don't quote me
yes.
out of context. Oh God.
It is the N-word,
Anyway.
but it's in a context.
Anyway, so here's what's up. I'll explain it because it was on my fucking docket. I'm sure everyone in this podcast remembers Rockband. We've all played Rockband, right? Apparently, unbeknownst to me, Rockband has continued being updated, like the most recent Rockband, and it continues to get new music and shit as like DLC. I kind of can't believe that because I thought those games were dead, but apparently it's getting shit. And one of its most recent songs that got added was by Lizzo. It's the song Juice. I haven't heard it in quite some time. I think it's a little rappy. And in that song, she says the N-word, right? As some people are wont to do in their rap music, right? Totally
Or
fine.
even
The-
not rap music.
Or not rap music, but
Wait till Bad Wolves comes to Rock Band.
anyway, song gets put in a Rock Band. Totally fine. Problem is they didn't change the lyrics or censor it in any way. So apparently, and I don't remember if this was a thing in the old Rock Bands, but apparently in this Rock Band, it scores you on account of the actual lyrics as well, not just if you hit the notes. So the problem with this song was
I'm seeing a problem already.
he sees it coming. The problem is
God,
you
I'm swayed.
you have to say the N-word
Or you don't get max score.
in order to max rank the vocals on the song. What an absolute fuck up. And it's
Why?
also hilarious.
How's that an F up?
It's absolutely a fuck
You
up.
gotta
You can't
sing
be
the
like,
song.
listen. Right. Okay, you're taking the Wooly stance on it. I see.
I
Where
don't know.
Wooly was
I
like,
got
no,
some.
it's her creative vision. So you must fucking say the N-word. It's what Lizzo wants.
Who cares? You're just singing a song, and the song happens to say the word. You're not calling
Alright.
anyone it.
You are. But there are a lot of white people who would be very uncomfortable standing in front of their TV with a
Don't play the
microphone in front of
song.
their face.
Done.
And they're like, one of their friends comes over and they're like, "Oh my god, I haven't played this new rock band. You got Juiced by Lizzo? That's fucking sick." I'm like standing up right now, by the way, and I'm doing like little pelvic thrusts. So I say this doesn't
Why
play
are
well
you
for
doing
audio.
pelvic thrust?
I don't know. Don't worry. Don't question it. So your friend comes over and they're like, "Man, I want to play Juiced by Lizzo. That's dope." So they pick it, but you're the poor dipshit stuck with the microphone and all of it, and you're singing it, and you're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and then the N-word scrolls from right to left on screen, and you see it
They
coming,
knew
and
the
you start
song. They
sweating
knew what they were getting
loudly.
into when they picked
No,
the
you
song.
I know okay, let me counter that with this. I played a lot of Rock Band back in the day, and I know for a fact that a lot of those songs were censored back then. Songs
Oh,
that
you know
said
what? That's a
words
good
that
point.
were songs that were nowhere near as bad as saying anything like the N-word. So the fact that this one slipped through and they didn't censor it at all is nuts.
So does this mean Rock Band gives you a pass?
It gives you the-
I'm gonna take a hard stance and say no there.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it's fucking hilarious
I
because I
don't
just
know.
picture. I want to pick. I want to
You
just
on
point out.
max score or not?
I want to. You want to 5-star that shit or what, bud?
Listen. This is my hot take. I am not saying this, but I've heard someone say, someone black say, if it's in the, you could say it, but not
Really?
with gusto.
Yeah, that's true.
I guarantee
Like if you're
that
singing
not
a
everyone
song and then
holds
all of a
that.
sudden
And,
your right arm raises a certain number of degrees.
Bonus points to whoever can find out who said that. Put it in the comments.
Nice viewer fucking interaction, guy. I like it. Dang.
Yeah, I know, right? Next
Tom.
level.
Get on it.
Here's the problem. Most people are not. There are a lot of people out there who don't share that opinion and will be mildly uncomfortable
Plenty
with their
of
white friend
For the
holding the
love of
microphone in
Christ,
front of their.
just play it local and have a preface conversation. Online lobbies with this song are probably nuts.
Hell yeah, dude.
They're nuts.
You're sitting there playing like the guitar part or whatever, and then like you can see it because you can still see the vocal track right above.
Right.
At least old Rock Band was like that, and then you see it scroll on the screen slowly from right to left. The N-word, it's coming. It's reaching closer and closer to the middle of the screen where you know the person's actually singing the words, and the whole time all you're thinking to
You
yourself
could
is
hear
you
their
sweat
voice
loudly
tremble
It's
in the
hard.
words leading up to it.
as it gets closer and closer. Are they gonna say it? Are they gonna say it?
This is a new form of entertainment. Someone could make a video game about that. You would
what,
not
will
sit in
be
the
forced?
lobby and just see if someone else would say it?
Absolutely. How does online Rock
suspense.
Band work? Like, how do you pick a song?
I think you.
Does everyone vote on it?
I don't think it has like a lobby thing. I think it's like a weird matchmaking thing. So it's like you pick vocals for this song.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
And then the rest of the band fills out.
yeah. That's incredible.
There's one dude. That's all he's doing all day and all
Yes.
night.
There's one memeing gentleman who's like, "I'm the whitest man, and I'm gonna fucking I want to get matched
He
with people
actually
so I can
doesn't-
scream the end."
He actually doesn't sing any of the other lyrics. He just waits till that moment.
Yeah, he's completely silent
Oh,
as his teammates, quote unquote, need to fucking
Carry it.
carry. And then only when
and then
it
he pops,
reaches the N
and then he
word,
pops Ultra, and then he just screams.
and he screams the N word. Like, what the fuck, Rock Band? What are you thinking? How did like anyone in that office look at that shit and not censor that? That tells me that like there's very little effort going into the new Rock Band and its DLC. Like, no one's checking the lyrics.
Well, I mean, come on. The budget for whoever's doing that Yeah, they're not making
It's
multiple
small.
passes. Yeah.
They're literally just like dragging an MP3 into
Yep.
the fucking game and being like, yeah, here you go.
You should listen to this shit.
All right, that's the gist of it, but it's
Oh,
absolutely hilarious.
sweet baby Jesus.
Oh, that was a very good conversation to have.
It's so funny, dude.
I don't agree. This is
Neither. I do not think that the people behind, I can't even remember the company that develops Rockband, but I don't think they should be porting songs to their game that has words like that in it and then forcing people to say it for high school.
Yeah,
But
if anything, modify
it is
that.
hilarious.
a little.
Like have it
is
not
funny, but
impact the
goddamn.
score, or yeah, like you said with the censors, just censor it.
Yeah, but they should have did that, but clearly they're not paying attention. They don't give a fuck. Because it's probably like one guy who has the job to like put songs as DLC into the new Rock Band. Because like as you said, funding for that shit is probably very small. Because who's still playing fucking Rock Band? Yeah.
Oh my god. So now that we've filled ourselves with joy, do you want to cry about Evo?
I just have so many. I have so many like mental images of like really awkward white guys just like in their room, like, yeah, I'm gonna sing "Juice" by Lizzo, and they have no idea like what's coming, or like people tricking their friends into being like, yeah, dude, sing the vocals.
That is probably far more likely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, any achievement hunter out there, like 100% completionist, their metal is being tested today.
Will you do? Will you do it for the gamer score?
Yeah. You gotta have that 100%, man. You
Come on,
can
bro.
think about it. How long ago did Rock Band come out? If someone's out there 100%ing every song to this day, that's like a 10-year streak. Are you gonna break a 10-year streak?
Hey, bud, you want that gamer score? You want-
Oh my lord. Evo got canceled. It's going online, and all the games in the lineup have terrible netcode.
Yeah, I watched a video that I totally agree with. So, all right, to preface what we're about to talk about, Evo, big fighting game tournament, COVID's going on, it's closed, but they're not totally canceling it. They're moving it to an online tournament. So they're still going to have the tournament, but everyone's going to play it with netcode online. That's the gist of it. I watched a video. It was Maximilian talking about this. And I second everything that he says, which is that every one of those games has terrible netcode.
Oh yeah.
Like all of them. Like they want people to play Smash Ultimate for Evo for big money and the title online. Smash Ultimate is notorious for having trash fucking netcode, like absolute garbage.
We're gonna have. Okay, so here's the silver lining to this. There's gonna be people that win that don't deserve it. We're going to get
probably, yeah.
We're gonna get an entire new breed of DSPs. You realize
yeah.
this?
No, we're gonna get a very interesting top 8 for every game where it's like, oh yeah, fuck, are there even? Oh yeah, Fighters is in there. So like Sonic Fox might be there for that. So it's like, oh yeah, it's a top 8. Sonic Fox isn't in it because he got outed by lag. It's very possible. Fighters is another perfect example of a game with absolute trash netcode that's in that roster. Marvel 2 is a beautiful example of a game. That game's ancient.
Yeah.
I mean, it got the remake.
The server in order to play it online.
Well, Marvel 2 got a remake. I believe Iron Galaxy, the people behind KI, are the ones who did it. Right, which is the one they should do because it's the one with the most recent netcode and stuff. But from what I understand, even though the netcode is decent, like the lobby system is kind of shitty, and the netcode's still not amazing. Like it's good, but it's not great. So I mean, we're looking at an Evo, biggest fighting tournament of the fucking year, where people are playing on extremely subpar fucking conditions. Yeah. How much will that affect the standings of a tournament like Evo? To some extent, I wonder why they're not This was kind of something I asked myself when I read this for the first time. It's like, why are they not just delaying it? Why are they doing it online? It's kind of weird. Like the international for Dota 2, they're not like, yeah, let's play it online. They're like, we're going to delay it indefinitely. We don't know when it's coming back. We're going to put out the battle pass. We're going to fund it. But, you know, we're not doing it online. It's going to happen at some point, the same way it's always happened. We just don't know when. So why isn't EVO doing that? Like, why are we going to force people to play a big money tournament for like Tekken 7 with its ass netcode when we could just delay it however many months?
Yep.
Strange. I don't understand it, but you know, I think the biggest kind of I'm curious to see, since it's going online only, is will we still get like whatever big reveals we were gonna get?
I imagine. I mean, how could you not?
I assume we will, just like on stream now, as opposed to streamed from the fucking venue. But I don't know. It takes a little chutzpah out of it. Like I was very excited for MVC2. I planned, and I still kind of plan on watching the top 8 for MVC2 because I think that's really neat that that's happening. But it takes a little bit away from it that it's online only, and that's going to kind of influence stuff a little bit. It can't not. Like there's going to be instances of trash netcode.
Oh yeah.
It's going to happen. It's impossible for it not to happen.
It's gonna be. I really can't wait for the new DSPs. Oh, I beat. Well, you know why I'm making that comparison, yeah?
No, not really.
So there was a big Evo real pass. This is why DSP is kind of as popular as he is. Well, I mean, he's popular now because it's like watching a fire just crackle. It's interesting to see that level of ruination in a man. But the reason he got his initial jump to fame is because he won Evo. He's an Evo champion. DSP is an Evo champion. And it was during a year where there was a big rule change, so a lot of the top contenders legit didn't show up, and then he won. And he rode on that fame for quite a while, where it's like, no, I'm the best fighting game player. So now we're going to have new DSPs, where they're like,
What?
I'm the best, I'm the champion.
What game was it?
Let me find out.
I'm very curious. Hold on, we're taking a Google break.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Wow. All right.
As Chun-Li.
Damn. That's hilarious. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well,
so that's why I'm making that reference.
I think it's almost impossible. I don't know how much more we have to say about this, but I'll leave it on this. I think it's almost impossible for there not to be an instance, at least once, of someone having a match not go in their favor as a result of netcode. I think it's impossible. Like we're putting when you're throwing bad netcode into the equation, it's going to affect stuff at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, there's no way it can't. Someone's going to lose or win based on netcode influencing the match.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of unfortunate.
There's gonna be at least like one hit or something that, like, I mean, it's still gonna primarily be on their skill, but there's now a lot more variables that it won't be as pure.
So I really kind of wish they were just delaying it, but it makes you wonder why they're not. Like, is there some kind of big like Evo is the biggest fighting game event of the year, right? So typically large announcements happen at Evo. Like last year, we got the Guilty Gear Strive announcement. Everyone announces like DLC for their fighting games, like Tekken 7. I think Tekken 7 announced. Didn't Tekken 7 announce like "fuck your mom" or whatever last Evo?
Yeah.
It's a character. He's not out yet, but his name is basically like "fuck your mom" or something like that. like they announced him. We got Strive as an announcement. Like typically announcements happen. It makes you wonder if the reason why they're not just delaying it is because they can't not have these announcements at the event or something. Oh, listen, all I'm saying is I'm putting the tinfoil hat on. Marvel 4, baby. It's
I hope
coming.
so.
They can't cancel because Marvel 4 is coming. Tinfoil hat's on. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, dude. That's me. We can talk about The Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2 is kind of huge.
Yeah.
Do we
So
not want to talk about that?
So I kind of mentioned it to you, and now you kind of want to like talk about it. Did you accidentally come across the spoilers?
No.
or-
No, I did
Okay.
not. I have not yet seen the ending. The only thing I know about it is that people hate it.
Well, no one has seen the ending. It's that there's a
No,
big
isn't there footage of it?
no.
Are you sure? I thought
Yeah.
I heard someone say there's footage of it.
Well, I mean, it's assumed to be the ending, but apparently later it came out that it wasn't.
Ah.
But it's like the midpoint of the game or something. Put simply, without getting into spoilers, I actually don't care. I would spoil this, but there's people, to be considerate of.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't.
Long story short, something happens. Something happens that is very it has really hurt the fan base because it's something bad that happens to characters you like. And I won't
Oh, you're getting a little too specific. I think
No,
what we should
no.
just say, no, you are. I think what we should just say is stuff got spoiled, scenes got spoiled, people don't like it.
Well, I mean,
I think
there's a
that's
big
it.
the biggest thing too is that even elements of who you're playing got spoiled. And
All right. Well, see, once again, you're getting really specific. I don't know if we should talk about stuff like
well,
that.
I'm not.
I think
I'm not
it's
getting
just
specific. I'm not saying any names. I'm leaving it at that. But
right, but that in
because-
itself is kind of a spoiler. Like the people you're playing, like all anyone knows who's watching the trailers are just like, oh, I play as Ellie.
Right. But
And like that.
for me, like I think that's important to semi-spoil because there's a lot of people getting this game stoked about just playing Ellie and seeing her story, and I'm letting you know that doesn't happen. And
But depending on
That's
how
a
well
spoiler
it's-
right there, though.
yeah, that is a spoiler. And depending on how much people are looking forward to playing the game, like that's kind of a big deal. And like depending on how well it's done in game, that's the
being
kind
that
of thing
you
I don't
guys
think we.
don't know, trust me, in the scope of the spoiler, that is very small. And
Okay, but see,
and
the
I'm not
deeper we
talking
go,
any
the more
I'm not-
spoilery.
No. I'm not going any deeper. That's not any deeper. And it's there. So there's this big thing that got leaked, footage. There was a release that the person who leaked it. There's a bunch of stories and theories as to who leaked it. Disgruntled employees, because they're under like. There was that like little bit of news a couple of weeks ago about kind of like the insane crunch that Naughty Dog's going under. So it was disgruntled employee, and then his background and this that and it turns out it's supposedly someone not involved with Sony or Naughty Dog, which you got to kind of take their word for. I don't know how honest they're being.
Well, I don't know who said that. That's the thing. Is that I don't know who
That was
said
official.
that it's not. Oh, is it?
Yeah, like it was Sony and Naughty Dog came out and they were like, yeah, the leaker has been found and it's not from our. But I mean,
Alright.
then you have to put your trust in a corporation, which is that they're not going to say it was. That said, the footage has multiple languages in the bottom, so people think that it's a translation team is what leaked it. So some sort of like third party.
Interesting.
Because none of the subtitles are in English. Like one I've seen is Portuguese, one I've seen is German. So it could be multiple teams, it could be just the one team. Who knows? But it's suspected that if it's not involved with the companies, then they must have outsourced translation, and then that's where the leak came from. And it leads to fun things where there's a big shitstorm, of course. And I think even IGN today released that surprisingly, and this is their quote, is surprisingly the collector's edition is back in stock, and it's like, oh, I wonder why.
Weird.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's a hell of a thing. If you're, I played the first Last of Us. It didn't like super get me. Part of it was like even my play style just didn't gel with the game. I was a little hoarding healing items and items to make healing items too much, so I ended up putting myself in like difficult situations and just playing higher difficulty. And I mean, the characters were good enough, the writing was good enough, but it didn't super hook me, so I didn't care. But yeah, if you did, it's gonna be interesting. I don't think it's as nuclear as some people make it out to be. It's definitely very interesting. This is very second Star Wars movie. They have
I mean,
subverted
that's
your
kind of
expectations.
that's something I'm kind of interested in. Is like, because once again, I've talked about this off podcast, but it's like I'm mildly interested in this game, if only because Sony's kind of showing an interest in actually porting stuff to PC. So maybe I'll play it at some point in the future. So I'm kind of avoiding these spoilers. But something I'm curious about is like, are people making a bigger deal about this than it actually is? Because there is like mob mentality. People hate stuff when it isn't necessarily worthy of it. And I'm curious to know, without it being spoiled for me, like, is it really that big of a fucking deal?
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
really big.
I don't remember if we've already mentioned this like on like right now on this podcast or not, but like it's not even the ending, right? It's like a midpoint thing.
Yeah, there's
Isn't
two
it?
big
So
scenes that are leaked. One was considered the ending because it does look really final, but apparently there's scenes after it. Because another thing that got leaked is, so the leak really revolves around 3 scenes, which I won't go into detail. Well, 2 scenes and something else. And the 2 scenes show some shit that occurs, and that's where most of the drama is from. But then the third one is someone just took a screenshot of like the chapter breakdown, so you can make a lot of like you could fit in where those 2 scenes exist and where it
all
goes
right.
from there. And then there are a lot of parts about this leak that are just straight up not true. And that's coming to light, and as things are going on, like things of that nature. But yeah, suffice it to say, it is massive.
Okay.
But yeah, it's hard to talk about it without like getting into it. But
Right.
suffice it
So
to
we,
say,
we
it's a
shouldn't
huge
get too
thing.
deep.
Yeah, it's
It's
a huge
interesting.
thing. I think it's justified. I think it's out of proportion. But then again, I'm saying it's out of proportion where I have no attachment to this franchise. If I was attached, I might not say that. I might be like, yeah, this is justified.
I mean, the thing that's surprising to me about this is that everyone's flipping shit and being like, "Oh, it sucks," and the game's ruined, and I'm refunding my pre-order, and yada yada yada. And it's like, Naughty Dog has kind of proven, and this is coming from me, which is someone who has not owned a PlayStation since the PS2. I haven't played a single Uncharted game. I haven't been hands-on with the first Last of Us. Like, I haven't experienced any modern Naughty Dog shit, right? The last Naughty Dog game I ever played was like a Crash Bandicoot, all right? And yet I know that these modern Naughty Dog games are kind of hailed for their decent writing. And I've seen the first Last of Us to completion, and I kind of liked it. I thought it was neat. I thought the ending was cool and kind of creative. I thought the characters were interesting and their motivations and the choices that they make. So it's shocking to me that this game is causing such a disconnect with its community in terms of whatever these scenes are that people are going nuts about. Like, I find it shocking. I don't know what the fuck it is that's causing people to go ape shit, but it's weird to me.
I guess the only way I could phrase that is you could write something magnificently, but if it's not something that someone wants to read, then it doesn't matter.
Okay,
True.
so it's a plot twist that people dislike, even if it's written well.
Correct. And honestly, I my personal opinion, I don't think it is written that well.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't know. I'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm gonna wait to see if it comes out on PC or if I'm just gonna break down and watch the leaks. I'm yet undecided.
Right.
I find something interesting. This is very tinfoil hatty, but I do find one thing very interesting about this, which is, and take this with a grain of salt, it's obviously just people's speculation and shit, but like, I find it kind of funny. I heard someone say this or saw someone say this, where it's kind of interesting that the game, Naughty Dog was like, Last of Us 2 is suspended indefinitely. Like, its release date, indefinite suspension. We don't know when it's coming out.
Yeah.
Corona. And then this leak happens, and like a few days later, they're like, "Oh, it's coming out now!"
Yeah.
And they post the fucking
Yeah.
release date. Like, very, very interesting. Almost seems like their hand was forced, but who knows? Complete tinfoil hat speculation.
Oh, I don't think so. I think that's a pretty simple line to trace.
Yeah, it's very possible, but who knows?
Moving on, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, new Assassin's Creed game,
Vikings.
Vikings.
They know exactly
Viking.
what to do.
Do they
I'll be
though?
honest. I
It's
haven't
people-
played. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since 3, and I didn't even finish it. Although I probably won't get this, it is interesting because they're going to fucking Vikings. At least for me. That's interesting.
I think it's cool. I think I'm a little like, I don't want to say like salty, but I'm a little kind of like frustrated because I feel like half the community of people who care about Assassin's Creed games have been yelling at fucking Ubisoft to be like, yo, set one in like fucking ancient China or Japan or something like that. Like, everyone's screaming at them to do that shit for years, and they're refusing to fucking do it.
Well, here's
And
the
so
thing
instead
that's
we've got
really,
this, and it's like,
yeah, it's really interesting to me because like when you think of Assassin's Creed gameplay, what is it? It's like you got your people now refer to it as Batman combat, but it really started in Assassin's Creed where it's that like counter
Yeah, it did.
360 kind of fighting thing. And
the first Assassin's Creed had that shit way before the first Arkham game,
yeah,
like years before.
and free running. Huge part of it was parkour, the French martial art of running away, and it's when you think about that, and then you think about Vikings, they're not exactly known for their tall buildings or sprawling cities,
Yeah.
so it's going to be weird. Then again, I mean, I haven't played Odyssey, and I mean, Odyssey was kind of the same. Like, Odyssey had a bunch of weird shit added in, where it was like weird RPG loot Diablo shit. and
I've heard good things about Odyssey.
open world-
I've heard people say that it's good.
Right, but what I mean is, I imagine it's going to lean heavier into that because it's like the few promotional shots that I've seen, it's like usually in towns there's like one tall building and like that's it. So
Oh, yeah.
it's definitely going to be doubling down, I think, more on the RPG
Well,
side of things.
I mentioned this like in our Discord when I think it was Richie posted the trailer, and I watched it and I was like, that doesn't look like an Assassin's Creed game. Like, I feel like I'm watching
No.
a For Honor trailer. It's just a dude fighting dudes, and then at the end there's like a guy that looks vaguely like he could be an assassin dude, and then he pulls out the wrist blade at the last. All right, there's your tie-in, but this doesn't look like a fucking Assassin's Creed game. I haven't seen a guy run along a building. I haven't seen him kill anyone in even a vaguely stealthy manner. I'm just watching a dude fight dudes. Like,
Yeah, it's very interesting.
where's the Assassin's Creed? I don't get it. Which could be fine. I'm not complaining. It could. It's great if the game changes because it's been the same shit for like years.
Yeah, it comes to an interesting part about like elements that become so ingrained in the brand, as it were. And yeah, the free running big cities, that's a huge part of it, and this game's just not going to have that. And I think depending on how they tick all the other boxes, I mean, it could be fine, but it is weird, and I could see it putting some people off. But hey, Vikings.
Yeah.
Vikings are cool. All right. So next up, if we don't have any more to say, do we?
I don't know.
I don't. That's somebody else.
The Frontier, the Elite Dangerous devs, are making an Age of Sigmar RTS
Yes, hit me up. Let me know what does that mean?
He must
Oh, there's
know
gonna be
it.
opinions on this shit, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I just want to know what have they released about it.
They really
I
haven't.
just okay. Here's what's up. I literally, when he told us this before the podcast, I looked up a PC Gamer article and I read it. They've literally said nothing other than the fact that apparently the developer that is making it is not known for making very deep strategy games with
Not at all.
in-depth mechanics.
Not at all.
They're a little bit more of the flash and the UI and not so much the depth and the interesting gameplay. So take that as you will.
So the news
Interesting.
blurb I have here is both PC and console RTS. Roadmap.
Simple
looks good.
control scheme incoming. Simplistic game for controllers.
That doesn't
I'll tell you what.
mean the game will be bad.
No, it doesn't. But judging from what PC Gamer wrote about the dev, I'd have to look up the dev myself and see what they've worked on. But it sounds like
So
they're
this
not
is-
known for making StarCraft 2.
No, yeah. Here,
level.
I'll tell you right now. Frontier does Elite Dangerous. They've done like Roller Coaster Tycoon shit. Like they're known for doing like good stuff, kind of DLC heavy. But a lot of I mean, at least from Elite Dangerous, they did a lot of like procedural generation type stuff. They have not made an RTS. They have not.
I'm reading probably the same PC Gamer article you are right now, and I like that they add the RTS is a deeply driven, system-driven genre requiring precise balance and well-made basic game functions to succeed, as evidenced by Dawn of War 3's lukewarm reception and quick fade into obscurity.
Yeah, I saw that. Here's the point. So before I even read that PC
Hold
Gamer
on, hold
article,
on. This is also important. So I'm not reading a PC Gamer, but this is supposedly quoted from chief executive at David Barbin. Our roadmap is looking stronger than ever with 2 games from our internal developments for each of FY22 and FY23. And an exciting portfolio coming out from third-party publishing initiative starting FY21. So, they're probably referring to something else there, but
yeah, but that doesn't mean to. You're saying that's a
trying to think
guy
of, like-
from the dev,
or
or is that a guy from Games Workshop?
Well, the way it's written at the end there, I would imagine Games Workshop. Let me Google this guy real quick.
All right, so whatever. It doesn't.
But
Who knows what that means? But
well, I mean,
like,
the only other, but I mean that's not an Age of Sigmar. But the only other Warhammer Games
my God.
Workshop game is the absolute terrible.
This
looking-
you just be referring to Warhammer 3, like Total War War.
No. Coming out soon. There's going to be an orc video game coming out. It's a flight sim. I'm not joking.
Okay.
It looks really bad.
This,
No, that guy
this reminds me.
is CEO of Frontier Development. So apparently Frontier has 2 games from Games Workshop coming down the pipe.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, this has been rumored for a while. Actually, I just fucking remembered. Like, I remember like content creators for Total War talking about this shit. That like Frontier got their hands on like a Warhammer license and people didn't know what that meant. And I guess now we know.
I mean, but before I'd even read that article, when you told us about this right before we started recording, I said to Richie, like, I'm not hyped for it. And the reason I'm not, like, I haven't seen the game yet. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad. Who knows? It could be
Literally
awesome.
No one has.
But this means that, to me, this is kind of rough for the future of CA's relationship with Games Workshop, because once Total War Warhammer 3 is over, are they going to do anything Age of Sigmar related, or are they not? Because now Frontier's making a game for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, it's
So-
weird to make a product that is competing with your own product.
It's strange. It's very strange. Now, granted, it's a completely different kind of game because they're calling it an RTS, which means maybe, once again, we don't know. We don't know
Base
shit about
building.
the game. But is it going to be? Yeah, is it going to be like base building? Is this going to be like the Warcraft variant of Age of Sigmar, or what? Like, the genre could be very different, but it makes me concerned as to like what's going to go on with CA after Total War Warhammer 3. Are they not going to get like Age of Sigmar projects?
I don't
Is
think you
this
have to
just
worry.
the end?
I mean, at this point, probably not. If Frontier is picking up Age of Sigmar stuff.
And that's my point. That's why I'm kind of not excited.
I would say that they're probably going to put out both. Because they're technically different. I mean, even frickin' Games Workshop is kind of abandoning Age of Sigmar to make the fantasy prequel thing. You guys
Well,
have
they're
heard
not
about that,
abandoning
right?
it. Yeah, but they're still
Yeah.
making Age of Sigmar stuff.
Right.
Age of Sigmar is doing very well.
Yeah, they're not going to abandon Age of Sigmar anytime soon. They're making a lot of money off that shit, and by a lot, I mean whatever Games Workshop typically makes.
They're making a lot of money with CA.
Right, which is kind of something I was going to get into. Is it's like, why would they abandon their relationship with CA when these Total War games are selling as well as they are?
Yeah, I don't think
We
they
know
are.
they're doing pretty well.
Look,
It's just weird. I don't
recently,
understand.
Games Workshop has been throwing its license out to everyone. It's like the license isn't exclusive. Just because they're giving these guys a license, and with the license they're like, we're going to make an Age of Sigmar RTS, does not mean that Creative Assembly is going to lose it.
Right. I agree. It's entirely possible that CA just goes on to make Total War, Age of Sigmar after Warhammer 3 or whatever. But I just find it interesting that they would have someone else make, like, if it was like I think the point I'm trying to get at is if it was a different genre, I'd be like, all right, right? Like if it was like an Age of Sigmar, like isometric RPG, like Diablo style thing or some shit like that, then I'd be like, oh, that's not competition for CA shit
Yeah,
whatsoever. But they're making an RTS. Like it's strange.
I don't know. It's rough because I like CA. I think it's totally within their power to do like Total War Age of Sigmar and it'd be good. But like at the same time, if you look at Age of Sigmar, it is more flashy of a setting, and maybe just having a different direction is kind of what they're looking for. Maybe it's harder for CA to deliver on that artistic style with their games.
No, I don't think that. I think it's just that's not what they've been doing. Like, I mean, a lot of CA stuff, they made factions out of things that were like blurbs in magazines. I don't think flashiness.
I'm not saying that like they can't do it, but I'm talking about like artistic direction. It's hard to maybe pull off the stuff that Age of Sigmar has in it in a Total War game. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying I don't know.
Well,
Maybe that could be a reason.
But it also depends, because it's like even this Age of Sigmar RTS, they could leave out like the flashiest new stuff. Like, I mean, Stormcast Eternals and Chaos Warriors are not. I mean, they have a bunch of shit on them, but they're not super flashy. It's like the deep ones and shit.
I'm just talking
crazy.
Like artistic style. Like if you look at like Warhammer 8th edition art as opposed to Age of Sigmar art, like the artistic style of the game completely changed direction. It is way more fantastical, bright, like flashy. And CA doesn't necessarily do that.
It's a little more Age of Sigmar
kind of does.
Age of Sigmar is a little more like high fantasy, would you say, as compared to like the dark fantasy of Warhammer?
Like Warhammer is more grounded in, as for a fantasy game, quote unquote, reality combat. While Age of Sigmar is more fantastical, and Frontier might just do that better.
I think this is a good way to look at it, which comes to me at the moment, is that kind of like what Anthony said, Games Workshop's been throwing licenses at people constantly for games. It just now occurs to me, I actually completely forgot, but I just remembered in like the last 5 minutes that Games Workshop gave a license to a developer to make a MOBA. Does anyone remember that shit?
Yeah,
remember the 40K MOBA? Yeah. Games Workshop has been throwing licenses at people left and right. Some of the games are cool.
Not established people either.
No, it's not established people at all. Some of the games are pretty decent, and some of them are kind of like eh. And maybe this is just a continuation of that kind of philosophy in terms of what they do with their license.
Yeah, Frontier's kind of well known though.
Yeah, they are. They absolutely are. I'm not equating them to a shit dev and saying like, oh, this is going to be like the 40K MOBA. But I am just saying that I guess this is just them constantly like fanning the license out to every dev that will fucking
I think
take
it does, because even though Frontier's established, they haven't done an RTS, and the fact that they
That is true,
greenlit an
yeah.
RTS is kind of like crazy.
I mean, what?
It's putting a
Because
lot
they
of
never
faith
did an
into it, yeah.
RTS means they can never make an RTS. Like,
Especially since they have a working relationship with Creative Assembly.
but I don't know if I call Total War an RTS.
Well, it's
CA,
War
hold on,
4X.
wait. Let me jump in real quick. CA has a history of making games that are RTS based. They made Halo Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
They made that game. Like they have made like traditional base building real-time strategy games. So why not give it to them and give them like 2 different projects? Is it just because they're balls
Listen,
deep
I'm gonna
in
give you the
Warhammer
answer to
3?
that question. I'm gonna give you the answer to that question. I don't fucking know.
I think Games Workshop continues to succeed in spite of its best efforts, and it has been for years, and I think this is just continuing the trend where they have an
Of
established
making
developer
bad decisions or
And,
whatever.
and honestly,
and it works out kind of, so it
yeah,
doesn't
and
matter.
honestly, again, I've seen no mechanics. No one's seen mechanics, so the game could be just utter dog shit gameplay wise. But at least artistically, I think Frontier will do an amazing job of making the game look good.
Oh yeah,
And that's something good to look forward to.
Elite looks nice.
I mean, fuck, even all the other
Elite
games
has a
came out,
lot
like
of
fucking
good world building.
Jurassic World Evolution and fucking Planet Zoo look fucking good too.
Yep.
They made those?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Like those games are beautiful. So like I know their art style will mesh with the Age of Sigmar style. So all they have to do is now make a good game because they got the art on lock, in my opinion.
I think they have the capacity to, even if they're inexperienced. That's not the part that's strange about all this. It's a good developer pick. I wonder even internally why they decided to go with RTS as opposed to all the things that you could do. I think Diablo, like you said, Brendan, I think that's a pretty solid idea.
I mean, they did something like that with. I mean, obviously not this dev, but like.
Remember when that's what
Bane or
Space
whatever?
Marine was supposed to be?
Well, 40. Yeah, I do actually. But Games Workshop gave their 40K license to. I don't remember who the developer is, but they made that Inquisitor game, which is
True,
basically just
yeah.
Diablo. So like, I don't know. It's just weird to me that they would be like, let's give the license to a different dev to make an RTS for Age of Sigmar when we have CA, a developer who is known for making good strategy games, and we're not gonna let them do it. Let's give it to these Frontier guys. It speaks to me of like maybe they're not. Maybe the budget is small. You know, so they're giving it to this lesser known developer in terms of like the RTS market. As opposed to giving it to
is
CA.
that they're just doing a shotgun approach. Like they have enough money to burn where it's like, who cares?
Well, as we just kind of stated, like that's been Games Workshop's strategy clearly is like, let's just give the license to as many people as possible and just get like 30 fucking different games from our IPs on Steam at any one time. I can think of like fucking 6 games off the top of my head right now that have come out in like the last 5 years that are either a fantasy game, an Age of Sigmar game, or a fucking 40K game. It's nuts. They've been making tons of shit because they're just like, they're literally, I'm doing like the fucking, like when you're like dashing fucking money out of your hand, you know, and you're just like raining bills on hose and shit right now. Yeah, you're making it rain. That's what they're doing with their license right now, to just like as many developers as they possibly can. They have a fucking free to play. There's like a free to play Warhammer fantasy game, I think, that's on Steam right now. That's like some weird, like almost mobile-esque game-esque like strategy game. They have the fucking Total War games. They have the MOBA that failed. They have Battlefleet Gothic. They have that weird game that's like fucking battle chess, but with like Space Marines and orcs instead. Like it's Regicide. They have the fucking 4X game. There's so much. Like I can keep going. They have Deathwing.
Yep.
The fucking first-person shooter. They have there's tons. Mechanicus. There's literally like a fuckload. It's like every time I turn on Steam, there's a different like 40K or fantasy game that Steam is trying to recommend to me. Because there's some dev making some shit with a Games Workshop IP. Like I guess this is just a continuation of that.
Gothic.
Yeah, he said that one.
Yeah, I said
I
that.
didn't hear it, sorry.
But it's just like it's their strategy. It's just.
I mean,
like,
you know, You throw out enough lightning rods, lightning will hit one of them. You know.
Necromunda, the fucking
Yeah,
Necromunda
that's
game.
true. Yeah, Blood Bowl, though those are kind of older now. They've just
Yeah,
been
but that
still
still
getting
counts.
leaks.
Blood Bowl is the thing. There's a lot. So I guess
I
this is
think,
just a
like,
furthering of the strat.
I'm excited because I actually, while I will never buy a Games Workshop product again, and my hate for Age of Sigmar still sort of burns. It's not as bad as when it first was announced.
Oh
I've
my
come
God.
to terms with Age of Sigmar, and I don't think it's that bad of a setting anymore. The game's a complete fucking mess, which they've kind of fixed a bit, but
For
the
me,
setting isn't actually terrible. The setting is terrible when you think at it of what was before it and what it turned into, but I don't judge it on like that. I judge it on its own setting, and I think it's fine. I don't hate it as much anymore.
kind of part of the setting, though, isn't it? Like where it came from. Shouldn't we judge it based on the events that caused it to happen?
But I still don't think from like where Age of Sigmar picks up to where it is now, like forgetting the old world, like I don't know. I don't hate it as much. That's the moral I'm trying to get across.
Well, we're out of the times where units don't have points, and if you yell a quote in your opponent's face, you get a bonus.
Like the game was stupid when it first dropped, and
Yeah.
honestly, it was stupid a while after it fucking.
I don't even know.
dropped.
I wasn't even considering that. I was just thinking about the setting itself and like what happened to the setting, like bubble dimension,
I miss you,
horse
Swinish.
dickery, and shit like that.
See, like I hated that. I hated that at first, but honestly, I don't hate it as much anymore.
I think it's lame. I don't like it. I kind of like the setup of the world as it was in 8th. I think it here's my thing with Age of Sigmar. I think Age of Sigmar as it stands is kind of dog shit, but I think the balls to be like, let's take our established setting and literally nuke it is kind of cool. Like that aspect of End Times is interesting. The idea of Evil 1 is cool. I like that. Where it wound up is not so great. The only good thing to come out of Age of Sigmar, in my opinion, are those like underwater elves. I think they're really neat. I like their like aesthetic and shit because they're basically just Dark Eldar in Warhammer Fantasy. So I like them. But everything else about Age of Sigmar, I'm like, eh. They were just like, let's put Space Marines in Warhammer Fantasy because we got to sell models, and let's fucking make it bubble dimensions because we have to have a reason why our model lines can continue past the absolute apocalypse of the old world. Like, it's just weird to me.
The models are beautiful, though.
They are. They're very nice
They're
models.
incredible. I was showing Brennan models not too long ago that were like these like bone dudes, and they looked fucking sick.
As you and me tend to do, me and Richie have this strange penchant for randomly going on Games Workshop's website and looking at models. We just like torture ourselves and see what shit is priced at for no reason.
Torture.
Yeah.
And remember the good times when the game wasn't dog shit.
God, remember when we almost played? Not Age of Sigmar.
No. Oh, fantasy, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Dodge the
I
bullet.
remember
on
that
that
because
one, too.
I was excited. I was ready, and then you're like, "Dude, there's rumors about the edition change. They're not good." And I was like, "What?"
Bro, that wasn't me. I think that was John. Weren't we all in like Sean's basement? And John was like, "Hey, supposedly they're nuking the edition and coming out with something new, and it sucks. There's like no points cost."
Yeah, didn't we say he was full of shit too?
Yeah, we did. Like, no, that can't be real, dude.
It is
And then it
pretty
was real.
unbelievable.
You want to know something hilarious? I'm looking.
We're
at my computer
losing
screen
people
right now.
on this conversation, by the way.
I'm staring at my computer screen right now. If I turn my head, maybe
We had an entire
40
lost
degrees
episode to this.
the left. No, this is left, not right. Right is the closet of shame. Left is my like television and everything. I'm staring right now at the 8th edition Wood Elf Codex.
That
Army
you
Verse.
purchased. The collector's edition.
The collector's that cost me $100
Yeah.
because I was
we
ready.
never used.
I was fucking ready, and I was like, I'm gonna get this book. I'm gonna get this army. It's gonna be good. And then I was like, what? Edition change? Oh, let's wait. And then
Thank fucking my Dark Lord Satan, dude, that we did not pull that trigger.
Satan.
I think the biggest saving grace. This is one last note before we move on, because no one gives a fuck about this. The one saving grace of that time where we were thinking about playing Warhammer Fantasy is that I couldn't make up my mind as to what to play. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to play like vampire counts. I don't know if I want to play dark elves. I don't know if I want to play like fucking orcs. And I was just sitting there trying to figure out what I wanted to play. And as that time fucking transpired, Age of Sigmar came out, and then we stopped giving a fuck. And we never bought models.
This is all very true.
Yay, tabletop games. Mick Gordon.
Next item.
Speaking of
Mick Gordon?
tabletop games, Mick Gordon.
Let's talk about Mick Gordon. I'm excited for this, actually. Are you excited? I'm excited.
I don't know about excited. I think it sucks.
It does suck. It absolutely sucks.
I wonder what he'll do next,
Friends
though.
not hype.
Well, I don't know. Let's explain it first, though. So Mike Gordon, for those who are either here and don't know or are listening and don't know, is the guy that is responsible for all the music for Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. And as many people forget, because Doom 2016 was the thing that kind of rocketed his music into the face of people, is that he was also responsible for Killer Instinct's music, which is fucking sick.
Yes.
Like really awesome fighting game music. Apparently, news has come out recently that he's kind of responded to it in some interviews somewhere. That id and Bethesda went behind his back to some extent and had someone else mix his tracks.
Oh,
They
So-
did a terrible job.
And apparently they did a really terrible job. So to put it in kind of layman's terms for people, there's a concept called like dynamic range when you're mixing something. Mike Gordon's tracks in like Doom 2016, if you go back and listen to them, he's kind of known for having his tracks have a lot of difference in volume between elements, right? Like there's a lot of like pumping effects and like the music kind of lives and breathes and shit. And when you mix something in such a way that you just kind of like squash all the volume up and make the fucking like waveform look like a brick, and you just eliminate all that, so it just sounds like one fat like similar brick of volume, it's boring, right? Or to some people it's boring. Some people disagree and say that that's how you should mix stuff. But the moral of the story is that Mike Gordon doesn't like that. Id and Bethesda went to some random engineer or whatever and had them mix his own tracks behind his back, and he's mad about it because they don't sound the way that he would have had them sound, as
You
per
have a
like
right to
the.
be mad. Personal opinion.
Absolutely, I agree.
What was that?
I say he has a right to be mad.
Oh, yeah. So much so that he said that he's probably not going to work on Doom 3 if it comes out.
Which is fucking unfortunate, dude, because to be completely honest, like maybe it's just me, but like music is kind of a big part of a game sometimes, and it can really like sell a video game.
Oh, it's a huge
Like-
part of the game.
Like a round of Killer Instinct would not be a round of Killer Instinct, specifically in like season 1 and 2, if it weren't for his tracks. They're incredible. Like you go play a fucking match of KI and listen to like Fulgore's theme while you're doing it. I implore everyone right now to go fucking YouTube Fulgore's theme and listen to that shit and think about playing a match of a fighting game to that. It is pumping, dude. Like it gets you fucking like it gets your murder boner real erect, you know, while you're like playing some dude in KI. It's awesome, and it has the same effect in like Doom and Doom Eternal. And the idea of like another Doom game that doesn't have his tracks in it is kind of disappointing.
More than kind of, I would say.
I say it's very sad. I don't really play. Once again, I didn't play the new Dooms that much, like very little bits of it, because I didn't buy them personally. I played off friends, but I very much enjoyed the music. And I do agree that music makes the majority of a game. Good music in a game really sets it up.
I think half the reason I love, I mean, other than the Cyborg Ninja shit and whatever, but like half the reason I love Revengeance so much is because the music is sick.
Yeah.
Like you play some of those boss fights in Revengeance and the music is going and you're like, yeah,
Hey,
dude,
let's talk
I'm
about
I'm in.
the original sleeper game of that, which is Dead Rising, where they had the most
Yeah.
killer boss tracks out of nowhere. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure going through that discography. Yeah, music's important. It's a big deal, and a lot of the new Doom identity, and even what I think brought people on, uh, was Mick. And is it Mike Gordon or is it Mick Gordon? As I've always said, Mick Gordon.
I think it's Mike Gordon.
Fuck
I
me.
believe. I could be wrong.
Gordon, Flash Gordon.
I could be wrong. I could be fucking wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I like his stuff, and it's a tremendous loss, and I can't imagine how many companies immediately swooped in to try to pick him up after all that.
That dude's not going to be hurting for work anytime soon. Everyone who wants extremely aggressive metal / electronic tracks in their games are going to flock to hire that guy for the foreseeable future. Not even that dude, like, for real, I fucking implore everyone who gives a shit about music and video games to go listen to the fucking KI like season 1 soundtrack and listen to, like, not just Fulgore's theme, because Fulgore's theme is indicative of what we were going to get with Doom like years later, but listen to like Glacius or like Orchid's theme. The guy is very fucking talented and he can do a lot of different things and he's incredible. And the idea that they would fuck that relationship up with him when he's done what he's done for Doom is bonkers.
Because fuck people. What's cheaper on the dime?
Fuck Bethesda, more like it. I'll tell you what.
But they already had him on the dime. Why not just let him master his own tracks? Like, it's so insane. Anyway.
Because it's probably cheaper to have this guy do it than to have him do it.
I guess we should move on. Venom 2, rated R, and also not releasing yet.
Hell yeah.
God damn, it's not releasing yet.
Hold on.
Venom.
Technically, it's not rated R yet.
True.
The rumor is that it's going to be rated R. So this is the thing I find interesting about this story, is that the rumors that it's going to be rated R because Sony has seen the positive responses towards Joker as a result of its R rating, and they're like, oh, we're going to make the next Venom movie R rated, which is strange because if any of you here, if the three of you remember, this exact same thing happened with the first Venom movie with Deadpool.
Yeah.
There were like news articles that were coming out and rumors of people being like, yeah, this Venom movie is coming out. It's going to be sick. It's going to be R-rated because Deadpool was R-rated and it made a fuckload of money. So it's going to be R-rated. And then it came out and it wasn't R-rated. And it wasn't really that violent in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I wonder to what extent these rumors are true.
So
obviously the delay is true because that's officially announced, but the R rating thing,
I won't hold my breath, but I hope and pray.
I hope so as well.
When I think of like Venom is so tied into Spider-Man, and I don't know, I've never seen them as like super violent. Even Venom, if Carnage shows up, sure, R all the way, pump that rating to AO if you will. But I mean, like Venom, he punches dudes and he has webs.
Well, Carnage is showing up. Did you see? Have you? I probably didn't put the title. The subtitle of Venom 2 is "Let There Be Carnage."
Ooh.
Carnage is in the movie, and we know this especially because he was at the end of the credits for the first movie. Spoiler alert.
Oh,
but
yeah, I remember seeing that.
But the movie's called Let There Be Carnage, so he's in it. The idea of a Venom movie without an R rating that has Carnage in it is kind of bonkers.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Carnage existed on the cartoons. They found a way to do it. It's not impossible, but I would rather Carnage being, well, the causer of some carnage.
You can edit your way around anything. Like even in the first Venom movie, when he's like biting off people's heads and shit, but it's all like hard cuts and kind of vague, and they never show you like the dude's body and stuff like that after he does it. Like you can get around an R rating, but I don't think they should do that. If you want to do Carnage justice, no, especially Carnage. If you want to do him justice, I think we should have an R rating. It should be take cues from Deadpool and shit.
Yeah.
Joker.
Yeah, because there's a way that you could have gore and it not really be that graphic. Like I wouldn't like there's a lot of murder and blood in Deadpool, but I wouldn't call it a gory movie. And it's like you could have that. Don't do the opposite. Like just so long as you're not like RoboCop remaking it, I think it's okay.
I haven't seen that movie, but I've heard that there's like one scene in it in particular that bothers people. Apparently, there's like one very gory, like body horror scene in the RoboCop remake.
Oh, that I'm not aware of. All I know is it's PG-13 and it makes me sad.
I know it's PG-13, but in the RoboCop remake, there's like one scene that
I'll
I've heard
look that
people
up
say it's
later.
like actually disturbing,
'Cause
and
like
I don't know what it is.
What, from the new RoboCop?
Yeah,
RoboCop. I think I know which one you're talking about. It was kind of freaky. I looked at that. I was like, okay, that's a little fucking creepy. Because instead of it being like in the original where it's like, yeah, most of him is metal, and they just kind of leave it at that. They actually show that they basically just kept his lungs in a
Oh
case.
yeah,
his
I've
heart.
seen that.
Yeah,
Nice.
Like, that's really
Nerds.
fucking creepy.
Spoiler alert.
They
wow,
also kept
spoiler!
his left hand, and it's really dumb. All right, so now we're in kind of lightning round phase. I mean, we could
now I'm
push
just
ti-
reading about Carnage again.
we could push time a little bit. So I mean, if you guys want to talk a little bit about these, otherwise I'm just gonna read them off, throw in your comments, and if we
We'll
get
read
a
them and we'll
discussion,
see
we
what
get a
happens.
discussion.
Let's read it, baby.
Read 'em
One
off.
of the Guilty Gear's lobbies is alive or just breathing.
I love it. Daisuke knows kill switch engage, and not
Yep.
only does he know kill switch engage, but he knows the old shit, which is good. It's really good.
Is really good.
And that's fucking awesome because like every lobby in Guilty Gear Strive is like raining blood. I
Yep.
think there's like a Metallica reference. I think there's like maybe a Testament reference, but I'm not 100% sure. And then you get to alive or just breathing. And I won't lie, when I saw that in someone's stream, I marked out a little bit. I was like, yeah, that's fucking sick. KI or KE has fucking representation in GG Strive. That's
We
really
made
tight.
it. Can't wait for Rose of Sharon to be a stand in JoJo.
It's gonna happen.
Artifact reboot will include a single-player campaign, and they're trying to actually explain the game plot, and it will tie to the game's progression system.
Cool.
I'm kind of like I don't know if Richie has anything to add to this, but I'm kind of excited about that because I think DotA, even though it's a MOBA and most people who play MOBAs don't give a shit about the plot, I think it's kind of neat because DotA has interesting story. Like some of the characters are very interesting, and there's kind of like a weird multiverse thing going on in DotA. I find it very cool that they're gonna kind of dive into it a little bit more than not at all. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
As a fan of DotA.
If they can make the game good too, that's also a bonus.
Well said.
Shade thrown.
He's not wrong. It's a bad game.
Death Stranding on PC delayed to July 14th.
Unfortunate.
Don't you have PlayStations?
I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't.
I do, and I don't. I do, and I don't.
Don't you have cell phones?
Call of Duty Warzone is combating cheaters by putting all of them in their own lobbies.
It's fantastic. I love it.
I love it.
I think
It's
that's
incredible.
Probably the greatest solution. Like, because it doesn't. It's not like money stolen territory, which I like. Granted, you're breaking the EULA or whatever the agreement is, the terms of service, the TOS. That's what I should have said. But it's like, I don't know. It's always never sit fully comfortable with me, and then this is just such a good, like, guess what? What was the other game where it was, you guys got, DotA does it too, where it's like, if you get, like, bad ranked, you go into the bad zone.
Yeah, you go into low prio.
You go in the
Place I never want to go again.
Richie has been to low prio, and I took the journey with him.
Yeah, well, I've been to
One
low
time.
prio because I tried playing Dota in a thunderstorm, and that I got a ton of abandons.
It's so funny.
But yeah, I like
Wait, so
those.
what's
I like
the-
those systems way better because it's fun.
To just go back like 1 second, what is it that you're not comfortable with? You said you're not comfortable with something, even though it's
Money,
breaking the terms.
like when you just like get straight up banned or money stolen or just, like stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll have to admit, I hard disagree. Anyone who willingly installs hacks and cheats in a first-person shooter or anything for that matter, fuck you. You're a rank piece of shit.
Get that ass.
I
Banned.
hope you get banned. That's me. Yup, get that ass banned.
Game,
Slap it.
WWE 2K21 canceled.
It's
Oh.
canceled.
I'm so
I
sad.
haven't played wrestling. I used to play the shit out of wrestling games because the character creator was like super fun. I haven't played one
Yeah,
though.
it's true.
Fucking.
Well, I think the reason, listen, I know when I put this in my news that the four of us don't give a shit that much about like wrestling games nowadays.
Yeah.
I didn't put this in because of that. I knew that we didn't give a fuck.
It is a
I
pretty
put
big
this
deal.
in. I put this in because it's a big deal. Think of the implications of this. This is a yearly sports title, equivalent to something like Madden or whatever, that just got fucking canceled because the last game that came out was trash. And apparently, in an investor meeting, they decided to not make the next one. That's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's huge. That's
That's
actually kind of nuts.
Yeah, how many times can you put out the same game?
Well, the reason why this is happening is because the
Ask
last one was a
Madden.
buggy mess. So they decided to cancel this one.
Yeah, ask Madden. Like, there's games with like at least that there's like generally new wrestlers.
I don't know, but like
And there's, like, a
basketball
really-
fans and football fans, they get like they could have like PlayStations, Xboxes. Wrestling fans, it's hard to get a fucking TV in your trailer.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
That's a hard yikes for me, dog. a little. That's a bit of an oof.
I was into wrestling during the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I was into wrestling when I was like 13.
The Undertaker was your big boy.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
I loved the Undertaker.
I'd like to speak on behalf of all the Camels present that if you are into wrestling and you're over the age of 13, I apologize. I'm sorry for Richie's comment. And if you don't live in a trailer, I apologize.
Richie does not speak for all of us.
Listen, I'm not
Yeah.
saying they all live in trailers, just the majority of them.
This is like, when you like watch like
Once
the,
again, Richie does not speak
You know-
for all.
when you watch like the commentary, like the behind the scenes commentary on a DVD or whatever, and it's like the opinions of those expressed therein is not indicative of like this company, right? Like we should put something like that
Yeah.
right before Richie drops that line.
Yeah.
Who puts that out?
Oh fuck.
Is it
2K?
2K?
Yeah, it's 2K.
Ew. I would much rather fucking something EA get canceled forever, but whatever.
I agree, but 2K's been a trash fire for a while. Like,
True.
haven't people been going nuts about their basketball games because of the microtransactions and all that shit? Like, they're basically just
Yeah, but
they're EA light.
Yeah, but
Spike
2K
Lee,
will be
though.
around forever because they got freaking their fingers in like BioShock and Borderlands and
I
stuff
mean,
like
so
that.
is EA. EA's been around forever too. I don't like big publishers. Anyway, let's move on.
It's just the handling of their sports games has been absolute garbage. Hell, 2K's handling of other games has been kind of shit too. Like what with
Yep.
people going nuts about the BioShock ports to PC and how they're kind of buggy messes and whatnot. So 2K has been kind of a trash fire for a while.
What are we doing on time, by the way?
There's a reason we're lightning rounding. Start
okay.
Citizen put out an update roadmap. All kinds of promised features are delayed. Will the game ever be finished? I don't know.
That game is not coming out.
But dude, we have a cinematic trailer for the alpha.
That game is never going to come out. I think what that game is doing is really neat. Like every time I watch someone playing it and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. The inside of that spaceship is really well designed and it looks like it could be fun. And then I remind myself that shit's been a thing for like 6 years or something like that. And I'm like, I don't think
Well,
that game's ever
Hold on.
coming out.
Is that game made by like a big company or by like an indie developer?
No, it's an
It
indie
was the
dev.
most successful Kickstarter ever. That said, the guys behind it kind of like knew their shit.
Okay.
Like
He was
it
the guy. What was the game that guy made? Help me.
I don't
Help
remember.
me. The guy
I
that's
don't
the
know.
head of the development team that worked on Star Citizen. He's known for something like very big.
Because
was it Fleet Commander? What was it? I don't remember.
Maybe?
I'm very
Free
forgiving
Space.
with indie. I'm very forgiving with like indie developers and like them being in like alphas forever, because like what's the game you play, Rich, with the dinosaurs? I forget its name. One that's
The
always
Isle.
Isle has been in alpha forever, right?
I mean, yeah, it's been in early access for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
They're very transparent on why that happened, and
As long as they're
they're very transparent about it, which is why I give them a lot of credibility.
Look, it's been in development for 17 years though.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
zero
Oh
credibility.
my god.
okay, 17 years,
What?
maybe not as much, but as long as there's like
No.
maybe as long as there's updates, they're talking, like that's something I can forgive.
Oh wait,
again,
no,
when a game is in-
2003 was Freelancer, which that's what
Yeah,
it's
I was
based
gonna
off
say
of.
that's literally impossible. Kickstarter wasn't a thing 17 fucking years ago.
All right, well,
There's
when
no way.
the game is in early access for like, I'll be very generous and say the 10-year mark. You just got scammed.
Yeah, it is merely 2011, so we're a year away from being scammed.
The weird thing about Star Citizen is that they do update. Like they update the game, people can play it right now if you buy it.
Yeah, but they
like
can't. Like
But
I
yeah, but here's
understand
the thing.
people, and here's the thing: it's very volatile because this is also the thing where you spent like $20,000 in real life money on a ship, and people have done that,
Yeah.
and that's a thing. And these are the people you're talking to, so it's a magnet for a trash fire of arguments.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like what they promised initially. Like every release, there's more stuff cut and compromised and all that type of stuff. We're not getting what was initially promised for the money we gave, even if it came out. Like all these segments work. Some work way better than ever. Like they tried to reboot the FPS section of it like 3 times now, and I think it's just getting scrapped.
Yeah, apparently that's like horrendous. I've seen people say there's like huge issues with the FPS stuff.
Even in the ship
Hit
combat
red
one,
is terrible.
armor isn't a thing yet. So if you get a bigger, bulkier ship, it's literally a detriment because it just makes you easier to hit, and there's no damage reduction, so you just die quicker.
Nice. I didn't
Like-
know that.
It's a mess, and
The moral of the story, I guess, is that fucking Kickstarter made millions of dollars, like the most successful Kickstarter of all time. Here we are, like a fucking how many years later? Like 9 years later, and the fucking thing is not out, and it's nowhere near being out. And now we're seeing delays of content, which you could blame on like the Corona apocalypse. But I really wonder whether or not that game's ever gonna fucking reach completion, ever.
Like a game I've been looking at recently, 7 Days to Die, is up to Alpha 18, and it's recently been updated. So the guys are working on it. The small
Yeah.
team of I think like 2 guys.
I'm aware
no,
of
but
that
this
game.
is
It's got
this
some
is
interesting.
big. This is huge.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
got like
massive.
millions of dollars.
Like,
Some
seriously
would
talking-
also.
What? Go ahead.
I was gonna say some would also maybe call Bannerlord a scam
Yeah, but Bannerlord.
because that shit took 10 years to come out and it's just Warband. Honestly, it's
it
a
did.
joke that it's a joke I hear going around that the modding community will finish the game before Tail Worlds or ever.
They
That's
absolutely will.
hilarious.
Are you
That's
kidding me?
hilarious.
100%. That's not a joke. I think that's true.
That's
People
just
will
facts.
mod that shit to completion.
Here to put
It's
it
already
to put it into,
it's already modded to be just so much better than the base game
Yeah.
already. Like
to put it into perspective. This is not a small company. It made $2 million in the Kickstarter, and suspected that by 2019, with sales of ships and pre-orders and stuff, it has earned over $250 million.
That is so much money, and it's nowhere near being done.
Nowhere
Like,
near.
I can't understand. There are so many people who like defend that game, and it's bonkers to me. I see it in like YouTube comment sections. I see it like on articles whenever I read anything about
just-
Star Citizen. And it's crazy because that game is like it should be fucking done, dude. But they just
they can't like fucking like realize they've been scammed. They don't want to admit they've been scammed.
I didn't make a mistake. You made a mistake.
And there's also the other
justify their
angle of it,
spending.
where when it first came out and it was like this big, in-depth sci-fi thing, like there wasn't anything of that scale. But in the time of this development, things like Elite Dangerous came out, which is also expansive. Literally maps the entire galaxy. Like
I'll be really honest. I have a bit of a conflicted opinion of Star Citizen, because if you look at certain videos of it and the gameplay and shit, some of what they're doing is cool. Like you look at like the cities that you can fly into and the starports, and it's some of the most like jaw-dropping shit I've ever seen in a video game. Like you watch someone fly a spaceship into a starport of a city, and it is a massive city, and you can see it the whole time you're flying in from the planet. You're literally looking at like an expansive hive city from 40K or something like that, spanning miles of the planet's surface, all of it that you can see, all of it's rendered, and you're fucking flying into the starport. It's really dope. But then you realize that it's all like kind of empty and there's no like real gameplay, and everything that's there is super hollow. And then you think like it's been there for fucking 9 years. Like what's going on? I think people have to fucking be realistic and realize that that shit should be done at this point, and it's not. And instead they're spending a lot of money on really flashy shit and they're not finishing the game.
Like, even if you're a fan, you gotta recognize that even the modules that are incomplete, to finish them is minimum 5 years away.
Yeah.
Let alone everything else. And it's like, you just gotta... Anyway, we should move on.
Hashtag scam.
Is there anything really left to talk about? What we got left?
Richie's hot take.
Oh, we got a lot.
Scam.
24/7 Valorant streams are a problem. I don't know anything about this.
That's just I can sum that up really quickly. Valorant's kind of like bombarding Twitch at the moment because their method of getting people into the closed beta, and I know this well, is that you have to watch people's Twitch streams. So you basically have to just either actually actively watch someone stream the game, or you have to just idle on someone's Twitch stream in order to get a key drop. And people are kind of exploiting it. It's obviously a feature to just promote the game and get like front page on Twitch, but people are hosting streams that are just like 24/7 never-ending streams of just like bots. Like there's not even live gameplay. It's just people like streaming clips and shit of Valorant 24/7, and it's just like there's tons of them.
It's a beta key farmer.
It is. It's a beta key farmer. So one has to. And I think I'm kind of living proof of the fact that the system is kind of flawed, because I got a beta key day one that I idled on a Twitch stream, and I wasn't at my fucking computer. This was last Sunday. I just put on like 2 Twitch streams that I was pretty sure were going to be on for a long time, walked away from my computer, came back and had a key. I didn't absorb any of that shit. I wasn't watching those streams. I wasn't paying attention to the game whatsoever. I was a false number on 2 Twitch streams, giving them views. Like, it's kind of fucked up.
Glorious.
Travis Scott has a concert in Fortnite.
It was cool. I know nobody here gives a fuck about Travis Scott or Fortnite. I know I don't. But I've seen footage of it.
Feast.
Wasn't there like a giant Ted Nugent or some shit? Or am I crazy?
There?
Maybe, sure.
There was a giant Travis Scott, and he was like dancing around and rapping and shit.
Well, there were a lot of effects, so if there's also a Ted Nugent, or someone then modded it to have a Ted Nugent model in it instead, it doesn't matter. The fact is, apparently there's another one lined up, right? What's the next concert that just got announced?
I think it happened. I think it happened already. Actually, I read the article a little bit more after we started, and I guess they hosted a Diplo concert at some point.
It's fucking
which,
cool.
like, admittedly, I don't give a fuck about Fortnite anymore. I used to play it a little bit, but I don't care that much about it anymore, and I don't really care about Travis Scott that much or Diplo. But like, I think it's really neat to use your game as a platform like that for live music and shit. It's very creative. I mean, arguably it's not live, because I don't think that people are like performing it via like stream audio or anything like that. It's just like, pre-recorded audio set to crazy effects, but it's very fucking neat. and I think it's creative, and I think it's interesting. I must say,
Apex. Loba.
So excited.
Postponed.
Loba's neat. I think, honestly, if her look in the animated trailer is indicative of how she's going to look in game, which it probably is, she might be my favorite legend aesthetically of all the legends in terms of their default costumes. I think she looks very fucking cool.
It kind of bothers me that she's
awesome.
not really armored for a death sport, but that's about it.
Yeah, but a
There's
lot of
also-
people
there's
aren't
a couple
like
characters
Wraiths
that
and
are
all.
like that already. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not her specifically. It's just I don't know. It's weird to me. I want more like Demolition Man. No, not Demolition Man, but like Running Man, where it's like crazy outfits and shit like that. Get fun.
besides,
it's a
they
blood
pick
sport.
up-
Have fun.
they pick up like shield systems and shit as they go, you know.
Sure, but I don't know.
So-
I'd rather. Who's the Hawaiian guy?
Apparently,
Gibraltar.
Yeah,
Oh,
walk in with like a shield initially. Just have that little extra edge. It's important.
Well, he's got damage
Apparently-
reduction, so that kind of
apparently, and I've heard this shit be wrong before, so take it with a grain of salt. Data miners have possibly found her abilities, which is one that's like it lets her throw a disc and teleport to the location.
Yeah, I read that.
The other is a loot scan that lets her pick a loot type and reveal all nearby locations that could be found.
That's cool. That's good for a thief to have.
So who knows? Because I'm pretty sure they data mined Revenant's abilities and they were not what was released. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I want to know if she gets like a pole vault type fucking move, because that shit looked like in the trailer, like she did that.
She looks awesome. I'm really happy with her. I think she looks cool aesthetically. I think the whole like weird like Daredevil pole thing is kind of neat, even though I highly doubt that's going to translate to gameplay in any way, shape, or form. If it does, that would be neat, but I bet it won't. I bet that'll be like a finisher. The staff thing is probably like, oh, she
Yeah,
whips that out for a
probably.
finisher. And then if they ever give her an heirloom, it'll be like, oh, when she switches to melee, she gets a staff or something. Like that's all that's gonna be. More likely than not. But she's dope. I like her. I like the weird like bright eyes they give her. I think her
actually, this
design.
was, oh yeah, I think she looks awesome. The disc thing is she actually does that in the trailer. She uses the disc to teleport.
Oh, does she? I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah. Because I'm rewatching it right now.
That's cool. I'm excited about it. I'm
awesome.
honestly, I'm excited about it probably more than I've been excited about most characters that they've shown off and been announced.
She combines
released,
two
rather.
of like my most favorite things, and that's Spanish women and wolves. So I am hyped.
Okay.
I like her. I think
That
she's
is
cool.
a great way to leave that off.
I hope I'll say this before we move on. I hope she's not as kind of disappointing as Revenant was. That's all I'll say. I hope she's good.
Leon from Resident Evil 2, and there was also an indie game that was coming out that he was voice acting. The voice actor for him, he has unfortunately passed away.
Rip in peace.
No more zombies for you, man. There's no zombies in heaven.
You don't know that.
Unless that's your idea of heaven, then maybe there's all the zombies you can shoot. And the unlimited ammo RPG.
Paul Haddad, is
Yep.
that his name?
Paul Haddad. Rip.
May he rip in peace. He voice acted in a classic fucking survival horror game.
Source code leak. So, there was a big leak of, I think it was primarily, well, I mean, it was Source. So it was old Source games, your old Counter-Strike, CSGO, Team Fortress 2, everything on the Source engine, got kind of breached. There was a bit of a problem where I'm not sure where it is now. I think it was definitely overblown initially, where you go on a lot of these private servers because it has the peer-to-peer connections, and there'd be a lot of downloads and updates for custom maps or whatever. And because of this source leak, supposedly there's talks about like viruses and rootkits and stuff getting into computers that way. It never impacted the official servers, but it was scary, and I honestly do not know where it's at right now. I don't know if it's
supposedly, this is what I heard. Take this with a grain of salt because I don't know if it's true. But I watched a video about it where someone had said that apparently the source code that leaked, people went nuts about it, lit a lot of fires, kind of went crazy, and then it turned out that the source code was old, so it didn't matter. Apparently, it didn't actually affect the games in the way that anybody thought that it would. It's not a threat whatsoever because the source code's old. Once again, I don't know if that's true.
Well, again, I think it's somewhere in the middle where it's like people thought it affected like every server, and that it was over, everything was compromised, and that certainly wasn't the case. But I think you could use old code to set up some of these servers. Like how many weird goddamn like
Yeah.
Counter-Strike servers I've joined in the past. So
Yeah, this is kind of exactly what you were saying. Is that I'd watched a video of a guy explaining this. I can't remember who it was, or I'd say who it was, but I watched some video of someone explaining it, and they were like, the most realistic thing to come of this is that it's going to be people hosting servers, and then when you connect to it, they could fuck with you and maybe get your info or whatever through the fact that you connected to their private server and they have access to the source code, but it won't necessarily affect you in your normal playing of the game. Like if you play a lot of CS:GO ranked or something like that, it might not really affect you. And then I heard something else of someone saying that, well, it didn't matter because the source code's old. Once again, I don't know if that's real, but who knows? I haven't heard anything else about it, so I assume that that's the case, and it's all kind of wrapped up at this point. But
welcome
who knows?
to the Camels. We kind of know the news. Deadly Premonition 2, July 10th. Surprise announcement.
In a time period where a lot of stuff's getting delayed as a result of the Rona, Deadly Premonition is coming. It has your back.
Nier Replicant to have remade gameplay, apparently closer to Automata, which is good because that prevents a gigantic backlash, and even things like extended tracks and stuff, which is double good because man, it had some nice music.
I don't mean to sound like an asshole.
He doesn't mean to.
All right. I don't mean to. I might. But let me preface what I'm about to say with I don't mean to sound like an asshole. I will believe that the gameplay is better when I see it. Because as far as I know, that game is not being developed by Platinum. And I don't mean to sound like a prick who's like, I doubt anyone else's ability to make better gameplay if it's not Platinum, because I'm not one of those people. But I highly doubt it's going to be exactly like Automata or up to that fucking par if it's not Platinum doing it. Because they are kind of one of the best character action devs out there at the moment. So I'll be shocked if someone else can pick something like that up and make it just as good.
Counterpoint.
But who knows?
It's an extremely low bar to improve.
Yeah, it's a point. No, it'll be better. It'll be better. It'll be better than what it was. That's a hands down right there. I'll tell you what.
Nintendo Switch DS ? So a popular firmware deep diver. Apparently, Switch got an update, and one of the updates facilitated it outputting to 2 screens. So people don't know what the hell that means. They don't know if your Switch will be able to cast to the TV, thus creating a Wii U gamepad, potentially for backwards compatibility, or maybe as a move forward. Or if there's going to be attachment that comes out, or even a new version that comes out, that we have a Switch is already portable, now it's a DS, a big DS with more power. And that could work with backwards compatibility for those games. So it could also be nothing. Who knows what this actually is?
It could also be nothing.
True.
Let the Wii U rest in its shallow grave.
Speaking of, well, not Wii U, probably because no one cares. There was a big leak from Nintendo, supposedly, and I have to quote the way that this was described because it made me laugh really, really hard. Apparently hacked from Nintendo back in 2008 by a man, quote, literally too autistic to go to jail. End quote.
Who said
Alright.
what?
Well, put simply, he didn't get in trouble, though he did something bad. But what it is SDKs, which are development platforms for the N64, Nintendo Wii, and Nintendo GameCube, as well as tons and tons and tons of documentation as to how their respective engines and hardware worked. What this means for the layman term is pretty much nothing. It means that emulators will now get way, way better because we have just accessed documentations of literally years of development of these systems and hardware interaction. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's neat. If you're into emulating N64 games and shit,
All the way up to GameCube and Wii.
or all the way up to GameCube. Now, fuck, what is it? Melee, right?
Yeah.
Melee was on GameCube. Now Melee players can continue to not play at like higher frame rates or not on CRTs, and they can continue to not take bats.
One leads to the other, supposedly. DotA International postponed.
Yes.
Very sad.
Our dreams of watching it crunk gone.
They're still coming, dude.
Postponed.
It's postponed. It's not canceled. It's just they said it's coming. They just don't know when. They don't know how long it's going to be delayed, but they're going to do it.
But
And the battle pass is still coming.
yeah, the battle pass is still coming, which is
It's
the
still
silver
coming,
lining.
bud.
Next few weeks.
They said a couple weeks later than they would normally do it, which could mean anything. I don't know what that means. Might mean 2 weeks from this week, because people speculated that it would come out this week. So who knows? But it's coming.
I follow a game, The Isle. No one else does because I like dinosaurs.
I like dinosaurs.
I like dinosaurs.
I mean, dinosaurs are
And,
cool, but that game scares me.
As Brandon thinks it's a giant scam, and
When did I say that? I never said that. I just said, hey, man, sometimes
Put it
games
on the record.
they don't pan out. That's all I said.
And I am very hopeful for this game, mainly because of how the developers just give that air of trustworthiness, and maybe that means I'm getting scammed. But they're very transparent, and they put out a lot of stuff, and they've been working on this game a long time, and they just had a big dev blog, their first dev blog that they're going to start doing monthly now to kind of like let the community know like what they're working on. Like the big thing they've been pushing on is like this update. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Anthony probably, and Rob maybe a little, is that, you know, The Isle came out like 4 years ago, and it was okay. There was a lot of things missing. It was just kind of like Dino Sim, no really like special mechanics to it. And they developed it into like a solid game over like 3 years. But the plans they had for the game, on top of apparently like there was some screw ups with like people like leaving and wrecking code before they left, and I don't know. It was a whole big thing. I don't know 100%, but they ran into a big fucking problem, and the game, and when that stuff was solved, the game was like more or less a spaghetti code mess, and they couldn't really do the things they wanted to do, you know, because they want to deliver a really good game. So, you know, last year, right around this time, actually, they're like, we're going to stop updating, you know, the game, and we're going to work on basically remaking the game. It more or less got the noun of recode, but it wasn't a recode. It was literally them building the game from the ground up again, to fix the like terrible coding and everything. So it's been a year of that, and you know, they've been working to get their team set up, and there was really like hush hush for a while because of like I guess they needed to get like I don't know copyrights and patents on shit because a lot of people are trying to like steal their ideas, like other fucking dino games like Beasts of Bermuda and Path of Titans and stuff that are trying to come out. It's this whole big thing, and they're really stepping up. They stepped it up maybe like a few months ago. They're like, all right, we're entering phase 2 of our recode, and they like started releasing small tidbits of like what they were doing and just being a little more transparent. And now they're starting dev blogs like once a month, and they just went into this big long thing of like the problems they're having on why the like getting a public branch out has been so rough, stuff they're working on. I honestly think there'll be a public branch of this game within the next month or two. That's just my speculation. They've said they don't want to put out a date for getting this out because they know their credibility has kind of been low with how long this has been taking. So they're like, if we put out a date and we, for some reason, can't meet that date, it will absolutely shatter what remaining credibility we have. So they don't want to put out a date, but they have said it is coming out this year, and it definitely will not take 6 months. From, well, I guess like this month, let's just say. And apparently it won't coincide with like other games because some people are like, oh, it's coming out in September because like Path of Titans is supposed to launch in September. So they'll try to like fuck them with that type of release because this is kind of like the main dino game right now, the Isle. So I think it will come out in the next few months. I don't think it's going to take that long. Yeah, and the dev blog is some cool stuff. They went into like how server size has also been an issue because like their maps, no, like their map, their islands are actually too big for like UE4, and the only way that like, see, that's fine for them and like their servers, but it would make it too costly for like smaller communities with no money to run servers. Like you'd have to be fucking like, you know, putting mad bucks into the servers. So the only fix they could find for that is like removing some of like the ocean shit from the map, but that would like delay the public branch, and they're like, we're not delaying this public branch anymore. So like they've been working on multiple islands, so they're gonna like release a smaller island, which apparently the creator of the game, Dondi, is not too happy about because he wanted to like release the islands in like a story kind of fashion. And now we're gonna get the story out of order. I don't know.
Huh.
But you know, they go into some like, you know, systems, some programming. They released the new thermals system they have for like the flight system. The flight
Thermals,
system looks really cool. Yeah, thermals.
like my Tarkov.
No, not like Tarkov. like hot air that, you know, birds use to like, you know, get lift.
Oh yeah.
Fly. They released that system, like what they're working on with that. They showed some of the bugs they've encountered during their QA testing. It's just, you know, it's just a refreshing look at how the development is going. They showed like different assets, concept arts, and excited. I've always been excited from this game, and I've supported it since day one it came out. And it just feels good that they're getting quality work done. And honestly, the game looks absolutely beautiful. So that's that.
Dinosaurs.
And you guys will get this game.
Anyway, D&D 5.5 edition.
I'll buy it for you fucks, and you'll be forced to play it.
Now, this is strictly rumors and just been
I'm
because
excited.
because
I
I'm
don't like
a
5th edition. Go ahead.
I'm a big nerd, and most of my time is spent just reading about D&D and getting things ready for our game, and if not my other game. So there is whispers mostly, and other people who spend a lot of their time reading D&D being like, there's some big changes coming, and there's some leaks from some people who work on 5e saying there's a big change coming. Whether and the rumors are it's either going to be 5.5 or basically another Xanathars.
What's that?
Xanathars was
Like
basically
an add-on.
another big add-on.
Oh, okay.
So, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be another add-on. It seems like there's going to, especially with the latest changes with the errata to the core book, it looks like they're getting ready to jump up while keeping the changes they've been making with a lot of the Unearthed Arcanas, which they've been pumping out almost every month to every other month. People are the speculations and the whispers is they're getting ready to jump up, not a full edition, but to take some of these changes and push it forward and make some of these errata changes and make them official and push some new changes forward. Once again, only
like
whispers.
Are there any details, or is it just big
Please,
changes?
for the love of God, rework the Ranger.
Yes, a new Ranger is rumored, with no clear indication on what's happening because of revised Ranger from Unearthed Arcana was too powerful, they're saying, just from multi-class standards.
Absolutely.
With the no one has a clear indication on what they're going to do with the Beastmaster. They just, no matter where they take it, they feel it's too weak and not quite what they want from it. But that's a different story.
I want to just insert something real quick. I don't know if I find that necessarily a credible excuse for wanting to like change up certain Ranger things, because they're like, oh, Ranger was too powerful for multi-classing. Do they see their fighter? Everyone two dip in fighter.
Well, that's like a D&D staple.
But
so the idea of like the Ranger's got too powerful level 1s and 2s is like, it's not. It's shut up.
Well, this is just from their testing. There is talk about like we got in the Unearthed Arcana variants to abilities, which I believe was a thing in 4th edition where you got to choose different abilities.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know how excited I am for that because of how much flack 4E has.
I didn't mind 4, but boy was it simple. And
I'm sorry.
Changes...
Brief aside, real quick. I'm a little crunk and I zoned out for a minute. Did you just say something about abilities from 4E?
They might be adding variant to abilities. Variants, like you could either, for example, in the Unearthed Arcana, you could either take Danger Sense or something else for your Barbarian.
Okay. That's
Will
cool.
they be coming out on cards?
Hey, all right, shit talk the cards all you want. I'm a fucking ardent defender of 4E. I think it was kind of cool.
But this
regardless,
is real quick. The point that's making my needle like go is that I didn't mind that is a frayed, by the way. That's not a boner.
It's a little bit of both for him.
It's a fear.
It's a fear boner.
Is 4th edition was streamlined to hell. I feel 5th is streamlined to hell, and if so far what you're talking about is them looking to 4th for ideas, that's concerning.
Hold on, no.
I
Hold
don't
on,
think they're
wait.
looking for 4th for ideas as much as they may be because the variant rule was something they were like, we might actually replace or we might allow players to choose because we like choice in our game.
So is it concerning though, the idea that they would pull hypothetically would pull any idea from 4E when 4E is just streamlined but with more choice than what 5th offers, to be completely honest?
I don't know, dude. I have so
Because
many...
there is more choice. At the end of the day, when you're like a fighter or something like that and you level up and it's like, oh, I have to choose from these powers, right? It's like that's more than what 5th gives you.
But
you actually have a
here's
choice
what I'm
of like,
concerned
oh, I can take this or that.
Is that they take the like the keywordiness of 4 and they rework it into 5's abilities. So where it's like grapple and push and stuff doesn't exist because your powers have it. And that was one of the problems in 4, and I could see them working that into 5 because that streamlines 5 while giving you technically more options.
Oh man, I'd have to open up one of Yieldy 4 books to look, but I could have swore 4 still had some of those basic things. Like even though abilities had the chance to just get you into grapple state or whatever, you could still just say, I want to grapple something. I feel like that was the thing. I could be
More
wrong.
the push and slide and stuff side of
And also,
things.
you want to know something else, Anthony? Hold on, real quick before we continue.
Huh?
Quick note. You know what else 4th had? Take a guess. Take a guess.
Oh, Brendan's big problem with
Dragons.
5e.
Nope. What did 4th have, Anthony? Come on, you can do it.
I don't know, dude. You're crunk.
Flanking. It had a flanking bonus built in. God damn it. I could open to the page right now in the combat section where it's like, yeah, this is how you flank. Fucko.
Flanking is an optional rule in 5e.
It is, but I don't like that. It should be like a basic thing. Every game since the dawn of man has had flanking. It feels like
had a
eliminating.
discussion about this, I think, off the podcast. To put into perspective, the fact that
We have,
flanking
and I know
to
exactly what you're
advantage
gonna.
is way too strong, but the fact that it does nothing is way too weak. And I understand that they don't like the
Yeah.
+1, -1 modifiers, and they're trying to move away from
Because
that.
nothing else in the game,
But
like,
for fuck's sake.
not as many things have it.
But
They went to the
regardless,
advantage disadvantage like system, so therefore flanking can't be like a +2 because that would be too complicated.
regardless,
Continue.
more people are willing to believe it's maybe another add-on because of 5e not being out for as long as 3rd edition being out, and people love 3rd edition or even 4th edition. It has not been as long. It hasn't been as out as the other. It has not been out for as long as the other editions. There we go. I can English.
You did it.
I did it.
I'm
not
trying to
even
figure out
drunk.
when did 3.0 come out and when did 3.5 come out.
If it is an expansion edition, like the 5, many people are wondering if it is a clarification, if it is a straight up change like 3 to 3.5, if it's going to be.
Ooh, baby. So 3rd edition. Wait, no, this can't be right. Was 3rd edition 2000? Holy shit. Okay. And then 3.5 was 2003.
Yeah, I just looked that up.
Which
as
means
well.
it is on track.
So it could be.
I don't know why I just thought about this, but like you just said, like, oh, it was like 2000, and I'm like, holy fuck, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I just got that fucking realization.
We're ancient, bud.
Yeah.
We're ancient.
But
we old, chief.
It would, and I agree with many people who say it would seem a little out of place, considering we just got a new books that put in a new class and everything. But they may be just throwing it into the new edition and seeing how people liked it. So it is definitely something I am interested to see what comes out in the next few months, even because there's rumors that new stuff is coming out in a few months.
I would be
throwing out stuff.
I would be really excited for, and this is coming from a guy that's not, how do I put this, extraordinarily into D&D. Like technically I started playing these games with D&D like way back when I was in like high school. I think I started with 4th because me and Matt were like, yeah, let's play D&D 4th, and so we did. And like absolute nerds, we played by ourselves, like just me and him and shit. And like that was my first experience with tabletop games.
That's
so
how
like
I met
have
Matt.
Yeah, because then we got you in on it too, and we were like, holy fuck, we have more people. And then I started going to the school with you and shit like that. But that's besides the point. The point is I kind of started with D&D, so like I have a bit of a history with it and I do like it, but I'm not like super into it. I would be down for an edition of D&D that I think I would enjoy way more than 5th. That's like 5th, but with choice. I think I would enjoy that if they were like, here's 5.5. It's got like the archetype stuff is kind of there, subclasses, whatever they're called, and all that shit. But there's choice. It's like when you hit this level, you can take this or you can take this. And there's like different options like that for every subclass
To put
and
it,
stuff, or just base classes. Like that would be neat.
to
I
put
would
it,
enjoy that.
to put our arguments into context a little bit, we think Pathfinder is way too much choice. Because then it just boils down to just pick this net build because there's just so many crazy goddamn options. But
Yeah.
but
Not only that,
also
even the mechanics are kind of crazy,
yeah,
complicated. But
and that 5 is a little too streamlined. So just somewhere in the middle.
I would just like I've said this in conversations I think with Anthony away from our games and away from the podcast and stuff, but it's like I think one of my biggest issues with 5 since like I've been experiencing it is that I don't like how I have a class and I choose like a subclass and it's like cool. Now when I hit level 3, I take the class and I get these benefits. Okay. And then when I hit 5, I get these benefits. And then when I hit whatever level after that, I get these benefits. And it's like, that's neat, but there's no choice. I'm not really building a character in terms of my mechanics because when I hit that level milestone, the game just throws shit at me. It's like, here you go, you've got this. Okay, cool. But
Well-
every other character that plays that subclass is also just going to hit that level and go, okay, I have this. I didn't really choose what I get.
Well,
And to me, that's
just
kind of lame.
That's just kind of a D&D thing, though. That was
Not really, though,
way
because
back.
once again, because I could go back to 4th and be like, for all the hate 4th gets, at least when I hit certain levels and when I pick certain, like, because 4th had those weird subclasses and shit too, and at least I could choose powers, even as like a fighter, where traditionally I'm not getting spells like other people are, but I can kind of choose these like interesting, unique attacks, and a fighter of the exact same style as me can choose completely different powers and we can wind up with 2 very different skill sets in combat. You know what I mean? Like
No,
that's
yeah, I
cool.
getcha.
I
But
like
I mean,
that.
like it makes me think of even like 3.5 and 3.0, where it's like, yeah, your level progressions was the same, but where you got variety from that is that you got so many feats, and there were so
Right.
many feats.
And
Same with
5th
Pathfinder.
doesn't even really have that because it's
Right.
like you don't necessarily take the feat, you take the ability score, and then you level up. Your subclass goes, here you go, you've got this. I make no choices whatsoever other than what subclass I pick. The only people who really have choice are the spellcasting classes because they get to pick spells. And even then, there's certain spells from what I've seen that are just really awesome that you're usually gonna take. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, dude. Like, I kind for everything people hate about 4E, there are things about it I like, and I kind of wish 5th had that element of choice to it. You know?
Yeah, and
Well,
it's
for-
But
more
that's just me.
successful than anything, so we just suck, and it goes wherever it goes.
Well, people like simplicity.
I
True.
hate it. Anyway,
People
sorry.
like it.
Any other
But,
interesting bits about it?
If it people think it may follow, if it may follow the new Pathfinder system. Hopefully it doesn't. People like that it's different than Pathfinder. And if it follows the new Pathfinder system, the action economy may change.
Oh, that's a huge change.
Yeah, so they're hoping it doesn't, because Pathfinder's economy changed completely as well. And as I've read the new Pathfinder's edition, it's very interesting, their new action economy, and that's a topic I could talk about for a long ass time, so I won't do it with how long we've been recording.
Yep.
So
It's a long podcast, boys.
So I will keep my ear out for any more updates and developments on it. And as always, I will keep my ear out for anything with the D&D and anything for you boys if you want to change anything and play anything.
No, that's good. Speaking of playing things, that was our podcast. We went over all of our news. Yay!
Wow, dude.
Thanks
It's
for
like
We did
listening,
it.
everybody.
If you made it this far, you're a fucking legend.
Yeah, you
You're
are
an
a
absolute
champion.
legend.
You are an absolute champion. Thank you for
I-
listening to us and why. Please leave in the comments why you listening.
I need to
us.
take a piss. I'm gonna go do that now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, signing off.